Be cool, be kind, be classy. A cupcake so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Good morning. Good morning, my friends, and welcome to day 3 of the Sarah Boone trial. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. How are you all today? I can't believe this is only day 3. It feels like it's been a long trial already, right? Is it me? It could be me. Today, the state is expected to rest, and Sarah Boone is expected to take the stand allegedly by 10 a.m., 10:30 Eastern. It is almost 9 o'clock. Court is supposed to start at 9. I see the seal up, but nothing more than that. So this is where we are. What do you guys think so far? Well, it's a little early for me to be rhyming, but you know. Let's get the sound up so I can hear it. Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Tell me where you're watching from. Tennessee. Tennessee. Ain't no place I'd rather be. Whoop. I already lost my pen. Better not spill my coffee today because it's really already one of those days. Cross-examination is going to be amazing. If you're just tuning in, you have not even been watching this trial, or even if you have, Sarah Boone is going to be testifying in narrative fashion. That means she just gets to get on the stand and tell her story. She's not going to be questioned by her attorney. We saw that in the Robert Tellis trial out of Las Vegas. We nicknamed him Boss Baby because his employees hated him so much that they had filed lawsuits against him saying he was a toxic boss and he created a toxic work environment. And Robert Tellis got on the stand and he also testified in narrative fashion. That is done because attorneys are not allowed to suborn perjury. So if they know or have reason to believe that their client is going to get on the stand and not tell the truth, it's against the ethical rules for an attorney to do that. Sarah Boone has had so many stories since the beginning of this case that the judge has decided that she will testify in narrative fashion. So who knows how long this is going to go on for. I expect she's probably going to bring notes up with her. Robert Tellis did bring notes up with him as well. And that was crazy, you guys. How many of you guys watched that? If you did watch the Boss Baby trial with me, put a Boss Baby emoji in the chat if you're a member. If not, just, hashtag Boss Baby in the chat. So I know how many of you watched it. It was wild. And who knows what her story is going to be this time? Because in order for her to invoke the battered spouse defense, which is what she intends to do here, she has to show that there was an overt act prior to the crime that made her fear for her life. And based on all of the statements that we saw her give to the law enforcement and in the station, out of the station, audio only, audio and video, she has said a lot of times this was not intentional. So I think it's going to be very difficult for her to overcome that hurdle, but time will tell. Yeah, notes to tell the truth. There's some babies. Screaming Daisy just put a cute little baby emoji in the chat. Boss baby lurker. Hi, Andrea. Hunter's taken off of work for this. Are you kidding? I don't know if I should be flattered or Sarah Boone should be. She has to testify. Well, in order to invoke the battered spouse defense, she has to, because nobody else can testify about the fear that she had for her life but her. So yes. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, and we're here for it. I mean, the crazy ramblings that we watched yesterday during the video interview with Detective Jacqueline Smith, aka Chelsea, and Mr. Big. I mean, her demeanor, her repeated assertions of it wasn't intentional, it wasn't intentional. At one time she swore on the Bible, at one time she swore on her son's life, but it was all about her all the time. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. She was like Veruca Salt. If you know, you know. Here she comes, bringing the chain belt back into fashion. I have a couple of those in my closet that I used to wear back in the 90s. They were popular then, and I'm going to make them popular again. I mean, that's not a bad fashion statement. Like Anna Delvey, you know, Anna Delvey. Anybody watch that series? What's the name of that series about Anna Delvey? She was on Dancing with the Stars and she wore her ankle monitor and they bedazzled it. So, you know, it can be a fashion statement if you want it to be. Yes, Mr. Big, as in Sex in the City. If you look, he hasn't testified yet. I wonder if he'll testify today. His profile looked just like Mr. Big. You got to go back and watch it, Leanne, if you haven't seen it. Yes, Little Miss Red Velvet, she was taunting him while he was in the suitcase. Taunting him. She's smiling today. She can't wait. She can't wait to get up there and have the spotlight on her for who knows how long. Could be days. Hi, Jenny. You're in Cleveland. That's where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is. Look, she moved a few meetings around for this one. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Jenny, for your Venmo yesterday. Jenny Grace, I appreciate you so much. Some of them got lost in the pile, and then also Sarah Shock and Horror gifted 10 memberships yesterday at the end of the stream, right as I hit the end button. So thank you, Sarah, who's an amazing moderator for the channel, part of the mod squad. We have the best mods on YouTube, and I'm not afraid to say it. And generous mods as well. So generous and so kind, and they're not going to put up with it. They're not going to put up with the bullies in the chat. So guide your actions accordingly. Good morning to Nashville, Coco Bella. Gucci chain belt incoming. Incoming. I'm Dandy. I love Anna Delvey too. I love Anna Delvey. She's so weird. But here's the thing. It's like, I don't know if you guys know the story. What was that miniseries about her? Inventing Anna? That was it. It was really good. Julia Garner. Julia Garner is a chameleon. She could play anything. She was in Ozark and she played the crazy character in Ozark. She played Anna Delvey. She's played 100 things and every single time she's like a different person. She was in Dear John. Was it Dear John? The name of that miniseries about the was he a serial killer? Connie Britton was in it, and Julia Garner played one of the daughters. Anna Delvey, they're saying, you know, the reason that she's in all this trouble and spent time in jail and whatever is because she attempted to defraud some banks, made up some stuff about her financials and that she was an heiress and all this stuff for them to lend them money and all these like rich people and banks, but nobody ever lent her any money, as far as I know. None of the banks did. And here's the thing, like, do your due diligence. If you're stupid enough to give a girl money just because she tells you some story about who she is and that she's got a father who's royal or something, I can't even remember the story so well, except I remember thinking, like, these are giant banks. Like, they should be able to do their homework, right? I don't know. Maybe one day we'll dive into that case because she's on house arrest. She's allowed to, I don't even know when her ankle monitor comes off. Julia Garner is terrific. Good morning, Maureen. She was a swindler. Yeah, she was a swindler, right? But who did she even really swindle? It's like she tried to get into like the popular kids club in Manhattan and the socialite set, and they let her in. Good morning. Morning, Anna. Good morning, Rachel. Yeah, Angela Burke says, I think Sarah's looking forward to her 5 minutes of fame, or will it be 5 days? Only time will tell. We don't know. We can expect, I imagine, I don't know if the state may have 1 or 2 witnesses. If Mr. Big doesn't testify, I'm going to kind of be bummed. And then they will rest. And then, of course, the defense will make their motion for a JNOV or summary judgment or directed verdict in favor of the defense, saying that the state didn't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And the court will deny it, as always. And then we will move on to the defense case in chief. And we're here for it. Yesterday afternoon, if you didn't watch the stream, it was really, we really had fun. I know it's crazy to say you have fun during a murder trial, but it was funny. The chat was on fire.
Sure, I have to say, William J. for the state.
Defense.
James Owens for Sarah Boone.
Tony Henderson for Sarah Boone.
That's because she's happy with her lawyer.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony she gives shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
Ma'am, good morning. Can you state your full name and date of birth for the record for us?
Sarah Boone, 10-10-7-7.
All right, Ms. Boone is seated at counsel's table wearing a black blazer and a dark blue blouse. She is in custody. However, she is not in any restraints, so we will continue to stand while the jury panel enters and exits. My understanding is that our panel is here this morning. State, do we have any housekeeping matters we need to address before we bring back in our panel?
Yes, sir. 3 discovery issues, and then I filed a motion late last night requesting an in-camera inquiry into a potential conflict of interest. I copied your JA.
I did review the motion.
Okay. The 3 discovery issues are these. One, on October 5th or October 4th, I believe the defense was provided with the body-worn camera and 911 calls from the prior incidents, and there was a request made to tell us what, if anything, should be redacted from their point of view so that we could either reach an agreement or use the court's resources to decide any conflicts in those issues. Yesterday morning was the first actual response I got from the defense team, and it was incomplete. It was about 3 of the 5 incidents. I do agree with 2 of the redactions, and we're getting those taken care of. But obviously, just like connecting to the court's screen, it takes time, and I'm not the person that's going to be doing it. Somebody else in the office has to do it. The 3rd incident, I think we're still not on the same page as to what the state's planning on introduce. So I resent the email with the screenshots of what files the state plans on introducing to the defense team again this morning. I have not heard anything yet from the defense team about the 4th and 5th incident. I was told that Attorney Beck was going to handle it. It is now Tuesday, day 7 of trial, and he has not handled it. Second discovery issue is Friday, I was given a hard copy of the 119 pages of the second copy of the Winter Park Advent Health records.
10/18, October 18th. That would have been the preceding Friday.
I was given the hard copy after court at about 5:30, 5:45. I emailed the PDF of those records back to the defense as they requested. I put Bates numbers on them. I understand from court what pages they indicated that they want to use and what pages the court indicated should be included at the state's request, which is pages 26 and 48 out of the 111. I would just appreciate if I could get a copy of the intended exhibit as it shall be introduced to the court so I can confirm those things ahead of time and not in court. And then the third thing is, I believe we had a discussion about the plethora of pages regarding the victims' hospital records, and that there was some sort of discussion we had that they were to narrow it down. And I have not been given any narrowed down version of that so that we can confirm we're on the same page or use the court's time if there's a conflict. Thank you.
Okay. Responses to the first discovery issue regarding body-worn camera and 911 calls is to the, my understanding, 5 prior incidents. Defense.
Judge, I can
We want to see it.
speak to 3 of them. They were the three of them that I reviewed, and I believe I reviewed them on Sunday. I had made the decision for what I thought needed to be redacted. I think the first two, if I remember correctly, I said that was fine. We didn't even have any redactions to it. I think it's one that I said redactions to, and I think the state agrees with that. The specific one that I didn't quite know, and I think that has to do with a body cam where it comes to, and I believe it's Mr. Torres' mother. I can't quite be for sure, but she's been asking questions and all, and I think it's about, if I can recall correctly, about Mr. Torres' whereabouts at that time. I didn't know the relevance of that at that time, but that was the only part of that to let the state know. I just don't really know the relevance. It could come in at a different point and become relevant. But as to the other two, I think we were on page with. I had been out to the jail that day. It was late. Then I asked Mr. Beck to do the other two redactions, but I hadn't had the opportunity to talk to him about that since. So that's where we are.
So is the third incident that the state has identified for which there's seemingly no responses to redaction, is that the body-worn camera purportedly between law enforcement and Mr. Torres' mother?
That's what I believe it to be.
Mr. J?
We're just
Bless
not,
you.
we're just not on the same page. On that third incident, which I believe was June 15th of 2019, the state only indicated to them that we were intending to introduce one video file. It is not of the victim's mother. It is of them at Sarah Boone's house. And the objection to the files that they were objecting to, which we don't seek to introduce, just said ID, and I don't know that as a legally recognized objection. So I'm confused. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to make sure we're all on the same page. We understand which file the state wants to use regarding the third incident, because he's describing files the state does not intend to use. The first couple of incidents, we agreed. There's a 911 call that seemingly cuts off into an OPD call at 3 minutes and 51 seconds. We're cutting that to the end. The second one, Ms. Boone at like 3 minutes and 43 seconds indicates that she had been arrested prior. So we cut that out. We're going to cut that out. That cat's out of the bag. So what we're looking for now is just making sure we're all on the same page about the third incident. I sent screenshots. There's a tool called Snipping Tool in Windows. I literally create a rectangle around the files that I'm intending to use, their file size, and the folder that includes the OCSO agency case number incident, so we could be as crystal clear as possible. And I'm still getting objections about things we don't want to introduce on that incident, and I've gotten no response with the fourth and fifth incidents.
All right, addressing the third incident is the specific portions of the June 15, 2019 incident, seemingly the body-worn camera that you're making reference to, Mr. Henderson, the state has no intention of utilizing.
Yes, sir. And just it's a lot, so if I could have one more
Sure.
to isolate which incident it is.
I remember Chris Noth on Law and Order. Yes, he was Detective Mike Logan. Those are amazing. I've watched every season multiple times.
But that's not the one. My understanding is the state is talking about the third incident. That would be June 18th.
Here's the problem. I sent these pictures over with the OCSO case number, and then I get a response based on incident dates. So we have to kind of cross-reference. So you can just make the record entirely clear. OCSO incident 18-067501. There was no 911 calls and apparently no objection.
We're going to see the body cam footage from the prior
So
domestic
they have
incidents.
no redactions requested for that 2018 case. Then the next response was 6/15/2019 case. And that, for the record, is OCSO 19-054917. Their request on that one was the 911 call that we just discussed, indicating that at 3:51, well, I had to find it, 3:51, it turns into another case, and to redact that to the end. We agreed. Video 3 in that file, again, no file name, indicates at 9:40 to 9:43, there's a redact request with paren previous arrest. The state agrees to that. We heard her quickly say that at 9:43, and we will get that taken care of. Then their next response was 6/18/2019 case, which I had to cross-reference back to show that it is OCSO 19-055572. And in that particular case, what I sent them was a screenshot that includes the OCSO case number 19-055572, and it indicates there is an intent by the state to introduce 2 911 calls and 1 video file labeled axon_flex_2_2019-06-18_1330. My response that I received from them was video 3 in file, 2 minutes 7 seconds to 2 minutes 18 seconds paren ID, and then video 4 in file, 2 minutes and 4 seconds to 2 minutes and 16 seconds paren ID. So my confusion lies in I did not indicate 3 or 4 files. It was just 1 file. And then again, with the other 2.
I don't want to address 4 and 5 yet.
Okay.
It's my understanding there's no response. We'll address that momentarily. Responses to the clarification as to what it is the state seeks for incident 3.
No redaction.
Okay, all right. With regard to incidents 4 and 5, Mr. J, could you place on the record what it is specifically as to those incidents the state may be seeking to introduce?
Adam Lally's resignation, they offered her 15 years. Turned it down. She's already been in
Yes,
for
sir.
almost 5.
So
She would have had credit for time
what we're
served.
calling incident number 4 should be OCSO 19-078009, August 28th, 2019.
Floby, who remembers the Floby?
We indicated the desire to use axon_flex_2_video_2019-08-28_2024. And then at their request, they had desired to get photos of Ms. Boone's injuries from that case. There is a 19-page PDF file, which has pictures taken by law enforcement of her injuries. I don't see anything else in there. 1 picture of Mr. Torres, a couple pictures of Mr. Torres, but nothing that the state was objecting to. So that was at their request that they wanted photographs in. So that is incident 4, which is labeled OCSO 19-078009.
With regard to seemingly the body-worn camera that the state seeks to enter into evidence from August 28, 2019, what say the defense?
What say you? Thank you, Lori Life 360 for the win, for gifting 5 memberships. Look who got them. David Marcy, Misha, I'm a baffled, Holly, welcome.
On this, there's a portion of this video at the very end that's very personal to an investigating officer that they may want to redact. We're not asking you to do that.
Is the state seeking any redactions?
I'm just clarifying what their redaction requests are in that particular file.
Okay.
If they don't have any, then
So are there any redaction requests with regard to that particular file? Okay. I'm just keeping notes. Give me a moment, y'all.
Megan Rowland, welcome. You win. Ding, 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 ding. I've heard a lot about these prior videos, body-worn cameras, and prior domestics, but I couldn't get a raw files of them to show you. So,
As to the 5th incident, Mr. J.
good.
No reduction or redaction. request, Your Honor. I do want to point out that we were apparently advised yesterday that the state was only going to use the third video possibly. And so we haven't really spent a whole lot of time worrying about it since then.
Let me clarify as to what the fifth incident is, just so that we're all on the same playing field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Judge, the fifth incident is OCSO 19-079759, and that was on September 4th of 2019. Within that screenshot that I sent to them,
Oh, are you just teasing
Friday,
Scott?
and then
Colin
resent
Zone?
it this morning.
Colin
Was
Zone.
photographs of the defendant taken at that time. At their request, shows a cut in her ear. It's 3 photographs. Then there is also one body worn camera labeled 1924755. Oh, strike that. 192473549_GEN_INV. And then the 911 call from that incident.
Colin Zone is, I think
Any
he's teasing
redactions
Scott.
sought by the defense with regard to that specific body-worn camera or 911 call?
Well, we're not necessarily seeking redactions, Your Honor. However, there are 2 separate videos. One seems to focus on Jorge Torres, one seems to focus on Ms. Boone, and there is clearly some redundancy. They're both body cams. One went upstairs where Mr. Torres was found hiding in a shower for bath. And so some of that's redundant, but there are actually 2 separate videos pursuant to the fifth.
Mr. J, are there 1 or 2 videos that the state's seeking?
There's one, the one that I listed in the file court report.
Okay. Do you know if that's a... Bruce, can you find out what counsel's here for? Is that the video from the perspective of, as identified by Mr. Beck, one more geared towards Ms. Boone or one more geared towards Mr. Torres?
My interpretation of both of them is there's interactions with Ms. Boone, and then there's interactions with Mr. Torres upstairs after he's located.
Mr. Beck, the specific file number was identified. So just to confirm, no redactions? Okay, all right. So just as a recap, with regard to the first incident, the 911 call, the parties have agreed to redactions at the timestamp of 351 towards the end. With regard to the second incident, body-worn camera, a redaction from timestamp 940 to 943 has been agreed to. With regard to the June 15, 2019 incident, there are 2 911 calls and 1 body-worn camera sought by the state, to which the defense has no redactions. The August 28th, 2019 incident, for which there is no redactions to the body-worn camera, but there is a 19-page PDF with photos that the defense intends to be included with that submittal, to which the state has no objection. As to the 5th event, 3 photos of the defendant, body-worn camera, and a 911 call for which there are no redactions. Does that clarify everything for the state?
Thank you.
Is there anything that I stated incorrectly, Mr. Beck, Mr. Henderson, or Mr. Owens?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving to the next issue with regard to the 119 pages from Winter Park. Defense, are you in a position to provide, I believe we discussed it either Friday or I think it was last week, we discussed it as to how it was culled down. Yes, because we had the Richardson hearing on Friday, how that list was culled down and the additional pages that the state was seeking. And then if they were able to find, I believe it was page 68, we would readdress that. Have you provided that finalized exhibit to the defense as to those specific Winter Park health records from the 119 pages that the defense may be seeking to enter into evidence?
I believe they've received everything from us, Your Honor. We identified those documents that were not specifically addressed by the defense, that the state wanted, essentially out of rule of completeness. I believe we're
But my understanding from Mr. J was that they were looking for the tangible copy of what it is that you were actually looking to move in, those 12, 14, 15 pages. Okay, if you could provide that to them by noon, I would appreciate
I'm
it.
not sure if it's, that's what I'm saying.
But if it's going to be moved into evidence, we have is it going to be moved in paper form, or is it going to be moved in digital by virtue of a CD?
We can get it, Judge. We'll work on it.
Okay, perfect. Just get it to the state. It doesn't have to be intangible. Just get them what it is that if it's an electronic format, that's fine. Just the state should be entitled to know what it is that y'all are intending to move out of those pages just to confirm it. Lastly, with regard to hospital records of the victim, I know there were conversations and discussions about that list being narrowed down. The state has advised that details as to those narrowed down records has not yet been provided. What say the defense?
The hospital records for the victim, Jorge Torres.
That's my understanding.
We need to do that, Judge. We've got to do that.
Okay. My understanding is that the experts are potentially teed up to testify tomorrow. I don't recall if those records are a basis of the experts' opinions.
The second expert is not likely to testify until Thursday. She's testifying in Bay County tomorrow. I will be here Thursday, and I spoke with Dr. Brandon last night. He will be present tomorrow morning since he gets here from Coral Gables.
Did either doctors Brandon or Harper rely on those medical records?
No.
Dr. Harper did. It's in her deposition that was taken a couple of weeks ago. I think the question was posed.
Ms. Perez, good morning. If you're here for pretrial, 19 Alpha, Judge Myers is covering.
I would have been.
Okay, thank you. You may
Like, I
continue.
already went there. I want to sit in and watch Sarah Boone destroy herself.
Dr. Julie
An attorney.
Harper, I know she considered the records of Jorge Torres, and we took Dr. Harper's deposition, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. She was asked by the state about everything that she relied upon, and she did indicate that. Are we going to use or attempt to introduce those records? We'll pare it down if we are.
Okay, you've got till 5 p.m. today to advise the state as to what of those culled down records you're going to be utilizing. So they have the opportunity to review those in advance of Dr. Harper testifying.
And I apologize to Madam Court Reporter for speaking on top of each other. Dr. Brandon testified as a subject matter expert who does not have specific familiarity with this case. And so there are no medical records or any other records that he has relied upon other than his knowledge and expertise.
Okay, all right. State, any other issues we need to address with regard to the discovery issues that you brought to the court's attention this morning?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Moving now to the motion. I have reviewed that motion.
Judge, we were not aware of the motion until he made mention of it, so we need some time for the lawyers to review it, for us to discuss it, and to see whether or not it has merit or not.
Okay. It was e-filed last night, looks like 9:37, and then sent courtesy copy to myself through Ms. Barrios and you, Ms. Owens, at 9:38 last night. I'll give the opportunity to review that. We can address it after
come
the
on,
lunch hour.
man. Does the guy got
And that'll
to
give
eat
the
dinner
court
and
the opportunity
sleep
to
ever?
do any research during the lunch hour on it as well. All right. Anything else, Mr. J?
I looked at it briefly. I'm not for sure exactly what the allegation is. I don't know if we need to talk about that. So excuse me?
I'm not.
Can we approach the bench?
Sure. Come on up, yo.
It has to do with a conflict of some sort, and they served him with his motion at 9:38 last night. Like, is the guy allowed to ever sleep or eat? He's supposed to be ready to argue it at 9 a.m. Come on, he's on trial. He's got other things going on, but apparently he's got a whole team of people who are helping him for free. I didn't even know they still made the Floby. They still make the Floby. Look at this Cajon Zone getting in here to razz Scott the mod early in the morning. Red Wings are playing the Islanders tonight. Thanks for the 10. I'm a Ranger fan. We play the Canadians tonight. Any Canadians fans in the chat? Any other hockey fans? Thanks, Law Junkie, for calling me amazing so early in the morning. That just made my day. And Midnight Mike also gifted membership, so thank you very much for that. Christina, thanks for the 5. Her bedazzled ankle monitor on Dancing with the Stars was sending me, oh my gosh, crazy, right? And then she got kicked off. I don't even know if it was like the first round or I don't watch the show, so I don't know. But they said, you know, what's the best part of being on Dancing with the Stars that you're going to take away with you? And she they put the mic in her. She goes, nothing. She was just, it was fantastic. Cyberchick in Boston, COVID. You have a COVID? I'm so sorry. But now you can watch live all day. Thank you so much for the 5. Somebody said they changed all of their Dewey, got to get ready for all day meetings. I'll be with you in spirit. Listen, you should be like Hunter. Hunter called in sick today. Hunter took the day off to be able to watch this. Be like Hunter. Hi, standing still in 1776. Thank you so very much. Is thanking me for being a YouTube calming voice in all of this mess. You're very welcome. Or let's get in Jen McCabe vibes. It's not a story, it's the truth. Allie's replacement says, hit the button. We don't even know if Lally will be replaced. If, when, if ever will Lally be replaced? We don't know. Thought the judge was going to be replaced, but it seems like Howie Carr may have jumped the gun on that. But my opinion is baby steps. They had a PR nightmare last week in Norfolk County. I'm sure the last thing they want to announce right now is that there will be a new judge on the Karen Reed trial. But it's going to, hey, look, we'll see what happens if they get a hold of all of Marcy's personal emails. Could be a big problem. May lead to a recusal of some sort. We don't know yet. It's still early. I mean, it's October. Trial's like 90 days away, right? January 25th, 27th or 25th. It's October 22nd. Good morning, Massachusetts. Hi, Mindy. Midnight Mike says, my mods are fair but firm and funny as hell. Yeah, they are. They are all stand-up comedians in their free time, of which they have none because we're on the internet all day. But they're testing out their bits on you, and they're funny. But, don't come in here and think that you're going to bully my viewers and me. Just not going to happen. They're very protective. So, cry about it. I don't know what to tell you. Go Bruins. Peter says Auntie Bev just doesn't know it yet. She's going to jail for conspiracy. When, if ever, will anybody else be indicted? Not her, but other people who may or may not, depending on the evidence, of course, innocent until proven guilty, deserve it. Go Leafs. There's a Canadian fan. Thug65. Yeah, they say she's still doing the trial, but could change at any time, as you know.
All right, thank you all very much. With regard to that motion, we're going to table that for now and address it potentially this afternoon. State is advised they're ready to proceed. Mr. J shook his head yes. Defense, you ready to proceed? Mr. Owens, you ready to proceed, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Boone, are you still satisfied with your lawyer's representation of you in this matter?
Absolutely.
Are you still on board with the strategy that they have employed in the use of your defense?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and stand and bring in our panel.
Absolutely, she said. Yes, Bice, go Yankees. Yankees, Dodgers, World Series. This is going to be, they're saying, the most expensive World Series tickets in history. We looked the other night just for fun, just to see. The cheapest seats at Yankee Stadium are $1,200 for nosebleeds. I'd rather sit home and watch it on TV. That's like more than Taylor Swift tickets. I don't know. For game 1? I mean, game 7, but game 1? I mean, that's insane. Because you've got all the rich corporations from LA and New York. Everyone's going to buy tickets for their clients. It's going to push the prices through the roof. How can you take your family to the World Series anymore? Yankee Stadium used to have $5 tickets outside for the bleachers. I don't think they do that anymore. Jury entering.
State, do you recognize our jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, do you recognize our jury?
Yes.
All right, everyone would be seated. Thank you. Members of our jury, good morning. Welcome back to 12 Alpha of the Orange County Courthouse. Thank you again for your time, your attention, and your sacrifice in this matter. Just by a show of hands, if you could confer that you complied with the court's instructions last night. The record will reflect all juror members have raised their hands. All right, State, if you could please recall Detective Kepsel.
State would call Detective Kepsel.
Oh, so Chelsea's still on the stand. She is witness number 14 for the state. State is not rested yet, no. They're going to show some body-worn camera footage from prior incidents of DV between George and Sarah. We just heard motions on that this morning.
Ma'am, good morning again. Could you state and spell your name for the record?
Yes. My name is Chelsea Kepsel, Chelsey, Koepsel.
All right. Mr. Cacciatore, you may proceed.
Your Honor, we had tendered the witness to the defense.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Henderson, you may proceed with any cross-examination.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Now, it's my understanding that on February 24th of 2020, you responded to this crime scene. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you the first officer to respond to the crime scene?
No.
So there were other officers who were there prior to you arriving. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you the first detective to respond to the crime scene?
Myself and my partner, we all arrived at the same time because we left from the same location at the same time.
Okay, and who is your partner now?
Detective Scott Lowen.
All right. And throughout the whole time, you and Detective Lowen worked on this case together. Is that correct?
Yes, he assisted me with this case.
Now, when you arrived on the 24th, approximately how many other officers were there?
Including like deputy sheriffs, like in uniform?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Oh, approximately 4, maybe, I would assume.
Had it been designated a crime scene at that time, and had tape or security measures been taken to protect the scene?
Yes, they had.
All right, so that had already been done by the time that you arrived. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, in the investigation, one of your, or what you're trying to accomplish in the investigation is basically get a basics of what took place. Would you agree with me there?
Yes, I would.
All right. And you can do that one or two ways, or a combination of ways. One is to take testimony of potential witnesses. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. This day, did you in fact do that?
Yes, I did.
And one of those potential witnesses was Sarah Boone. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
And you took a statement from Sarah Boone because we've all seen it. Is that correct?
Yes, we have.
And at that point in time, Ms. Boone did not have to talk to you if she didn't want to, did she?
No, she did not.
So she agreed to talk to you at that point in time?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Were there any other witnesses besides Ms. Boone that you talked to on this initial date of the 24th?
Just Brian Boone.
And Mr. Boone told you what? You had a chance to talk to him. He told you his involvement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, wasn't Mr. Boone's testimony, was that recorded too?
I conducted an audio recording, yes.
Is that standard procedure when you do your interviews to try to record the interviews?
Yes.
What's the benefit of that?
So I know what was said.
Okay. So, and if something goes on for a long time, you can refer back to it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, and out there, that's part of talking to witnesses or potential witnesses. Okay. Also, it's your job too to identify potential physical evidence in a case.
Yes, it is.
All right. And in fact, on the 24th, did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you have anyone assisting you in doing that aspect of it?
Yes, crime scene investigators and digital forensics investigator.
All right, and was Miss Melissa Rothengarten, is that how it's pronounced? Pronounce it for me.
Rough Garden.
Rothengarten, okay, thank you. Did she help you in that area?
She was the lead crime scene investigator, yes.
Okay, so were y'all walking around together? Give the jury an idea of how that process takes place, please.
So yes, when I initially arrived on scene, I introduced myself to Sarah Boone and explained that I wished to go inside her residence, which she gave me consent to go in and look around. I went in, looked around, and then when my CSIs arrived, they would go in, take pictures, and then I kind of leave them to do what they need to do as far as taking pictures and documenting things and measurements. And then that's when I conducted my interviews. And then I would meet back up with my crime scene investigator after interviews were conducted, to kind of follow up with like things that I was told that would help us like identify things from the scene. And so, I mean, there's like multiple occasions where I would have met with my crime scene investigator inside the residence.
So this is an ongoing process during that day. You get information, you consult with them, they have information, they consult with you, and you're making a determination of what potential physical evidence that y'all at least like to document by camera, correct, or pictures, or actually collect and take away. Is that correct?
Yes, so it's accurate.
All right. In that case, the suitcase was some evidence that y'all agreed on that we need to take this suitcase from the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. How about the baseball bat? Was that done that day?
The baseball bat was collected, yes.
All right. In your viewing of the suitcase, did you view the suitcase while it was unseen?
Yes, I did.
All right. Did you notice that if there was any items, other independent loose items in the suitcase?
There were, yes.
Were those items collected?
Some of them were, yes.
Who made the determination what items of that suitcase would be taken or collected and what would not be collected?
I would say that I have the final say on what is to be collected or not collected, but we do discuss it together to make that determination for me to give the final yes or no.
Do you recall which items you decided to collect from the suitcase?
Do you have the property form that I can refer to?
No, I'll try to find it.
Robbie,
I know some of them, but
I want to know what they didn't take from inside the suitcase. Why didn't they take it all? She gives me Jacqueline Smith, Charlie's Angel vibes. And yes, the Dyson Airwrap is life-changing. It's in my Amazon list, which is, I think, linked in the show notes.
Ma'am, I don't have it, but to the best of your memory, can you tell? And I would understand there would be some stuff that if you had the property report to refresh your memory, you can give me more detail.
Yes, to my understanding and to my recollection, we collected things that had blood left over on it. I want to say there was like a necktie potentially. I do recall there being a small amount of clothing and miscellaneous paperwork, but I do not think that we collected the paperwork. There was also a
Femme Dandy, we call this witness the Detective Goddess. Will you allow that? Detective Goddess, don't feel left out.
cell phone in there. It was not, it was dead, the cell phone. And then
Wait, there's a cell phone inside hold on. Inside the suitcase. What didn't she take? Only things with blood in it? Hold on.
I do recall there being a small amount of clothing and miscellaneous paperwork, but I do not think that we collected the paperwork. There was also a cell phone in there. It was not, it was dead, the cell phone. And then like I said, there might be one, I think we collected 5 to 6 items from the suitcase itself. But obviously the property form would tell you specifically, but that is what I recall.
Correct, and I understand, and that's fair. Okay, so potentially you collect these items because you believe they're evidence for the case, potentially, is that correct?
Yes.
And some of these items you actually collect with the potential that you might need to have them examined in greater detail, is that correct?
Yes.
An example of something like that would be in this case, if you found blood on something, you might want to potentially examine that. Is that correct?
Yes.
And also the stuff that you're learning outside of these items also helps you in making that determination. Isn't that correct?
I'm sorry, one more time.
The stuff that you learn, the information that you're getting or you're receiving about what happened at that time will lead you to determine what items might need to be collected and what items might need to be tested.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought there was a necktie in there too.
Um,
Right, Atty Paralegal.
So out of the items that were collected at the house or the apartment, at those items, was anything to your knowledge sent off for further examination?
I believe so, but if it was, they would be sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for further testing.
Okay. And do you have an independent memory of what items that were collected from the house that were sent to FDLE for further examination?
I don't recall specifically without looking.
Okay. Now, are you aware at one point in time, there were some fingernail clippings or fingernail swabs taken from Miss Sarah Boone? Is that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, that was done on her interview date on would have been the 25th?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what we witnessed in the video.
Yes.
That's what they were doing at that time, correct? And I'm sure at the autopsy, which you were present at, is that correct?
Yes.
And those, there would have been some fingertip swabs of Jorge Torres. Are you familiar with that?
They do swabbing of the hands, to my understanding, and clippings of his nails.
Okay. Do you have an independent memory of the fact that Sarah Boone's fingernail swabs were sent to FDLE for comparison?
I would believe so.
Okay. How about the ones from Mr. Torres? Do you have knowledge that those were sent to FDLE for comparison or identification?
Well, they would have come from him, so I'm not sure what we would have compared him to.
Okay. Were they there to see, or at least they're sent there to see if they can extract DNA?
Oh, okay. Yes. I mean, I'm not sure if they did that testing for his nails clipping specifically, but it would be in the report if so.
Okay. Who would make the decision about sending his finger swabs to FDLE for comparison or evaluation?
I would request it to the crime scene investigator, and she would author the, I guess, procedure for them to do so.
Okay. And then as to Sarah Boone's swabbings, who requested that those be sent to FDLE for evaluation?
Again, I would assume that I would have done that. I would have requested the CSI to do that.
Are you aware of the results from those evaluations? I'm not asking you for the results, just if you're aware of the results.
I believe I'm aware, but would love to see a report before I specifically answer.
Yes, I'm not going to ask you a specific question
Oh,
about it, okay? All right. But basically, you're aware that it was done, the procedure was done.
Yes.
The analysis was done. Okay. Now, ma'am, so you're through the first day. Then we get to the second day, which would have been, I believe, the 25th of February. Is that correct?
Yes.
And on the 25th of February, was Mr. Torres' autopsy done at that time?
Yes, it was.
Were you present during the autopsy?
Yes, I was.
And did you communicate with the medical examiner at that time?
Yes, I did.
During the course of things, is that where you found out through the medical examiner at the autopsy that there was blunt force trauma injuries?
Yes, that is where I learned more about his injuries.
Now, initially, when you were on the scene on the 24th, did you view Mr. Torres's body?
Yes, I did.
Did you notice in and of yourself on your own something that caused you concern that there might be blunt force trauma injuries?
Yes, I noticed injuries to him, yes.
Okay. So after the autopsy, you had additional information. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, there was an interview. Well, I don't know if it was an interview. There was a meeting set up for Sarah Boone. Is that correct?
Yes.
On the 25th? Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell me how that meeting was arranged or how that meeting was set up, please?
So either before I left the scene, the night of the incident, I obviously met with Sarah and told her that we were leaving. We had to go make next of kin notification. And I would have either at that time said I would like to meet tomorrow and arranged it then, at least to let her know that I would like to meet after the autopsy. And then obviously from watching the video towards the end, she said something about recalling a conversation that we had, calling me. So there may have been a phone conversation that occurred later that evening where I either would have confirmed the time or told her the time then. I just don't have that on an audio. But I know it either took place before I left the scene because I obviously would have, said my goodbyes and told her, hey, we're leaving. We're going to make next of kin notification. She was very concerned about that. So I would want her to know that we were doing that. So it either took place then or it took place on that phone conversation that we had.
Okay.
She definitely said goodbye. She wasn't doing the old Irish exit. She said goodbye.
All right. The day prior to that, on the 24th, ma'am, you received Sarah Boone's phone. Is that correct?
Yes, her phone was on the scene, yes.
And when you received that phone, Sarah Boone had given you that phone. Is that correct?
No, she was not allowed in the apartment to give me the phone.
I'm sorry. Did she give you permission to take the phone?
Yes.
Okay. Is that correct?
Yes, I was given permission to go through her phone, yes.
Because at that time, you hadn't applied for any type of search warrant to get or search the phone. Is that correct?
No, it was based off of consent.
Okay. So she had consented to you for you to have her phone.
Yes.
Is that correct? She also provided you the code to get in the phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
So at this point in time, Ms. Boone is cooperating with you. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Now, ma'am, do you recall telling her, Ms. Boone, that she could get her phone back the next day?
I don't recall specifically telling her when she would be able to get her phone back, but I did say something along the lines of we were now going to be taking the phone. I obviously had digital come out for consent to go through her phone. There was evidence on her phone that I needed to be downloaded. And at the time, I was willing to give back her phone before going through it. And then once we had gone through it, and those videos were found, I felt like this was very different, and it changed my perspective on consent. And I decided at that time that it was best to write a search warrant. So consent couldn't be basically like I knew I was going to take her phone. So consent has to be basically given to me throughout the entire period. So she would have had no way to contact me to tell me she no longer consented. So therefore, because there was evidence on the phone, I took the phone. Basically, I potentially told her, you know, maybe we didn't get a full download. I may have said something along the lines of that. As far as me taking the phone, and then I wrote a search warrant. I either started writing the search warrant the night of, but it wasn't signed until, I didn't submit it until the next day. And then it was signed the next day on the 25th.
So basically what you're telling us is that she could have withdrawn her consent at any time prior to that search warrant being received. Is that correct?
Well, while I was on scene, but at the end of the day, there was evidence on the phone. So I knew I could go through I knew I could get a search warrant to go through the phone based off there being evidence, like the 911 calls, and her explaining to me that they had spoken to family members.
Please silence your cell phones.
Oh, somebody's cell phone went
Since they had
off?
explained to me that they spoke with family members the night prior. So I wanted to obviously corroborate her statement. So I knew that I would be able to get into the phone through a search warrant. But yeah, she could have not consented, and she could have not signed the paper consenting while we were on scene.
But before you left scene, you knew that Sarah Boone was not going to get that phone back. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So when Sarah Boone called you the next day, asking you about bringing her phone back, did you just tell her, Miss Boone, you're not getting your phone back?
There was not a conversation about her not getting her phone back. She may have inquired about her phone, and I would have explained that we will talk about it when we meet that afternoon.
Okay. So
Great question. Something is so funny, Auntie Bev. Any law enforcement that can tell me if this is standard, get a warrant even after signed consent? Yes, because she can revoke her consent at any time. So it is always the better practice to get a warrant.
did you reach out to Miss Boone that next day, or did Miss Boone reach out to you?
I don't recall a specific, if she reached out to me the night of the 24th or before the interview on the 25th. I don't have my call records for that. I'm just basing it off of the interview where she had basically said that, yeah, I have your business card and I can contact you like I did. So my assumption would be that we did have some sort of conversation either the night of the 24th or before the interview on the 25th.
On the 25th, did you make arrangements with Sarah Boone to meet with her on the 25th?
So I either made arrangements on the 24th with her before leaving the scene, and I would have told her I would like to meet with you the next day. Or I said, and I may have given her a specific time at that moment, or when we spoke later that evening on the phone, I may have confirmed the time or given her a time then. But she definitely knew that we were meeting at 3 p.m. on the 25th at Orange County Sheriff's Office Central Operations.
And ma'am, you just don't remember at what point in time you informed her to set up this meeting with her. Is that correct?
It's one or the other.
One or the other?
Yes.
Okay. As it to it being one or the other, you did the You prepared the investigative report in this case, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And the investigative report, you basically summarized everything that took place in this case, up to a certain point.
Yes,
Is that correct?
it was a summary. Yes.
All right, as far as evidence, as far as witnesses who were talked to and synopsis of what they said to you at that time, is that correct?
Yes, things that I did specifically. It was a summary of that.
I found your investigative report to be in great detail because it helped me track this case from basically beginning to not to the end, but to the point where the report stopped.
Is there a question in
And
there?
It seems like in your investigative report, you are very thorough about details. Is that correct?
I would say I'm a detailed person. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So being the detailed person you are and absolutely doing your law enforcement training, they tell you, they train you that your report should be very much in detail. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay? Because you might have to refer back to them at a later time. Is that one of the reasons? Is that correct?
Yes, and to prepare myself for depositions and trials.
Okay, and just to give an accurate picture of what you did and what took place and what people told you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Being as thorough as you are with these contacts with people, I didn't see in the investigative report when the arrangement was made with Sarah Boone to meet you down, and where did y'all meet?
The Orange County Sheriff's Office, Central Operations.
To meet you at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I did not see that in the report. Do you have an explanation why?
It's not typically something I would put in my report.
Okay. Do you remember in having the conversation with Ms. Boone about this meeting that was supposed to take place, that you said that you could not return the phone to her that day because you were not feeling very good? You remember telling her that?
That never happened.
Okay. Ma'am?
Great point, Nell.
Judge, if I could have a moment.
Yes, sir, of course.
Nell says she thinks she's smarter than all these attorneys. If she was so smart, she would have taken the deal. Thank you, Kat Randall, for gifting a membership.
Ma'am,
That's
during
very
this
nice.
time frame, were you pregnant at this time?
Never becoming a
At that
member.
time?
Were you pregnant
Yes,
at
I
the
was.
time?
Okay.
The question. She was.
All right. Well, anyway, Ms. Boone, there was a meeting arranged. Is that correct?
For the 25th at 3 p.m., yes.
Yes, and Ms. Boone showed up for that meeting.
She did.
25th.
Yes.
We saw it. Okay.
Thanks, Irene
Now-
Kelly, for gifting 5 memberships.
Ma'am,
Rock.
I'd like to talk to you about some other investigation. On other witnesses that you took their testimony or statements, recorded statements at different times. Okay? Do you remember Abraham Moreno?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take his recorded statement?
Yes, I did.
All right. At the time that you took Mr. Moreno's recorded statement, was there anyone else with you?
My partner should have been with me, Detective Scott Lowen.
Excuse me?
My partner should have been with me, Detective Scott Lowen.
Okay.
Scott Love? No, I think his name is Scott Lowen. Captions called him Love. Who looks like Amber Heard, Lorraine? Thanks, Lorraine. Legal Good says, it seems that the defense at this point is aimed at appealing evidentiary rulings after an eventual guilty verdict. Thanks for the 10. You may be right. I may be crazy, but it just may be a lunatic I'm looking for. Turn out the lights. Sophia Hall, thank you for becoming a member.
Ma'am,
And
as
Jay
to
and
who
Books,
was
thank
with
you.
you, would it help refresh your memory if you were to see your investigative report as to that interview?
Your Honor, I would object. She hasn't said that she needs any aid in refreshing her memory.
Objection sustained.
Ma'am, was Detective Scott Lowen with you during that interview?
Yes, I believe so.
May we approach?
Yes.
How about instead of ma'am, you call her detective? Right? I mean, ma'am, was Detective Lowen with you? How about detective? I mean, like when a doctor is on the stand, you're supposed to call, you should call them doctor, officer.
Ma'am, do you have an independent memory of Detective Scott Lowen being with you at that interview?
I believe my partner was with me on the interview. Yes, I typically wouldn't go and do some follow-up without my partner being with me.
Thank you very much. Now, ma'am, did that interview, what date did that interview take place on?
I believe the 26th, February 26th of 2020.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, was that interview recorded?
It was audio recorded.
Was the entire interview audio recorded?
Yes, the entire interview was audio recorded.
We heard it. Scott, retired NYPD, amazing moderator, extraordinaire, says most PDs have a policy that once you're pregnant, that you can't have any contact with prisoners or people that are suspects and you're taken off the road. That's very interesting. She was like in her 8th or 9th month. I don't know if that's their policy, but thank you for that. She's still guilty. She still did it.
Ma'am, are you familiar with a witness by the name of Brandon Moats?
Yes, I am.
On February the 27th of 2020, did you interview Brandon Moats?
We love Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
I believe so. It's either the 26th or 27th. Yes.
Or you think the witness looks like Amber Heard, you guys? Oh, can't see it.
If you were to see your investigative report, would that help refresh your memory?
All right, I would again object. She hasn't indicated that she needs assistance with her memory.
Approach.
In order to use a document to refresh a recollection of a witness, you have to first show that they don't recall something. Then you can impeach them by showing them something that they don't recall to refresh their recollection. I don't even know if he's trying to impeach her or just refresh her recollection, but the first thing she has to say is, I don't recall. Can you refresh my recollection?
Objection sustained.
Jen McCabe, can you show me the document?
Ma'am, if it was the 27th, you would not disagree with that, would you?
Well, I just stated that I was either the 26th or 27th.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, her kid is like 5 years old now. She's like going to kindergarten. I don't know if it's a boy or girl.
Ma'am, Mr. Moats, he was the neighbor living in the apartment, or the connecting apartment, wall apartment, with Ms. Boone and Mr. Torres. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he's the one who told you about the loud noise. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you interview anyone else in reference to that loud noise?
So I was interviewing Brandon, and then my partner was interviewing Vincent, the other witness, and I came in at the end of the interview with Detective Lowen.
Okay, so that's Vincent. Do you know his last name?
Roommates. They were the roommates.
I would butcher it.
They were the college kids who lived next door, and their wall, they shared that wall where Sarah Boone's staircase went down. And both of those roommates who were in college said that those two were so loud and that they were drunk all the time. Coming from college students, that says a lot.
The tag room, something like that. We're talking about the same person?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did that interview take place on February the 27th of 2020?
I believe so. I interviewed witnesses after I interviewed Sarah. The 26th or 27th would be my memory.
Okay, thank you. And then, did he also talk to you about a loud noise?
I believe that I was refreshed on the conversation. And yes, he expressed hearing a loud noise as well.
Okay, thank you. Now, and those interviews were actually audio recorded too, is that correct?
Yes, they were.
Now let's go to Ms. Boone's interview. And that would have took place on the 25th, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Boone came down. And ma'am, prior to Ms. Boone coming down for the interview, had y'all made the decision that Ms. Boone was going to be arrested?
Yes, I plan to arrest Sarah Boone.
Okay.
You tricked her. They're allowed to do that, by the way. But I'm not even saying that she did. But Sarah clearly thought she was coming to get her cell phone. She was going home. She was going to ask her questions
Did you tell
and leave.
Ms. Boone in arranging the meeting that when she came down there, she was going to be arrested?
Your Honor, I'm going to object this for relevance.
Approach.
Did you tell her she was going to be arrested? Yeah, I don't know that she has to. She's unflappable. She's the femme dandy. Did you watch the Robert Tellis trial with us? Because there were a lot of beautiful women in that trial, man. Every woman that took the stand was more beautiful than the next. Where are my Detective Gaddis fans? I think Robbie was in love with Detective Gaddis from that trial.
Objection's overruled.
Thank you, Genevieve, for really liking it here and for your 5. And Amanda, thank you for your super sticker.
So ma'am, at that time, you did not tell Ms. Boone prior to coming down there that she was going to be arrested. Is that correct?
No, I did not.
Okay. Why did you not tell Ms. Boone that she was going to be arrested?
Because she wouldn't
We
come.
plan to meet at 3 p.m. and go over the autopsy and have another interview. So, I mean, I'm not sure why I would tell her that she's going to be arrested. That would potentially cause her to flee.
There you go.
You know, not come, and then we have to go find her and make it more difficult for everyone.
Or potentially get an attorney to come with her?
She was read her rights that said that she has a right to an attorney. And if one cannot be provided for her, she will be appointed one.
And she is very smart and she has straight A's and she's an extraordinary mother. And she told us she told everyone that in the world a lot of times. She's very, very smart. So she should have known to bring a lawyer.
You read her those rights when she got there, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
You didn't read those rights to her before she got there, did she?
I wasn't in contact with her, like physical contact with her.
Okay.
You have to do it in person.
You said potentially for fleeing. My question was, potentially she could have got an attorney too to come with her. Is that not correct?
If she wanted one.
I misunderstood your question. I didn't hear potentially bring an attorney with her, but yes, I guess she potentially brought an attorney with her.
Lorraine says she looks like Amber Heard, especially when she looks at the jury. Thanks, Lorraine.
Ms.
Tuning
Boone
in from
shows up.
Canada.
And you tell her that some things that we need to talk about. Is that correct?
It's specific verbiage. I know I said something along the lines of, obviously the autopsy had been conducted, and there were things that we needed to like talk about in regards to that.
And prior to discussing it with her and asking her questions, you did read her Miranda warnings. Is that correct?
Prior to, I'm sorry, one more time?
Before you started asking her questions, though, in this interview, before you started asking Ms. Boone's questions, you read her Miranda warnings. Is that correct?
Yes, before I started asking any sort of incriminating, potentially incriminating questions, she's read her Miranda warnings, yes.
Okay. Ma'am, do you remember as part of the Miranda warnings that you read to Ms. Boone, did you read her the one that states that if you decide to answer questions but want to stop answering and consult with an attorney, you may do so? Do you independently remember reading Ms. Boone that instruction?
This was litigated pre-trial.
I don't recall that specific, but I do have my Miranda card on me, but I don't recall that that's what that says. But it is on audio and video recording.
Yeah, and we watched it yesterday, and that's the best evidence.
Now, ma'am, at that point in time, Ms. Boone wasn't under arrest. Is that correct?
Ms. Boone was not going to be free to leave once she was in my custody.
At that point in time, had you told Ms. Boone that she was not free to leave?
No, I did not.
At that point in time, had you told Ms. Boone that she was under arrest?
I told her at the end of the interview.
Okay, before the interview.
No, I did not tell her before the interview.
Ma'am, why didn't you tell her before the interview?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to asked and answered.
Overruled.
So I have to read her her Miranda warnings, and that's what I did. I do not have to tell her that she is under arrest at that time.
Was there a reason, could you have told her that she was under arrest before reading her Miranda warning?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as it calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Good. Sarah's going to get up and
Was it a
testify.
strategic decision
I wanted
not to tell Ms. Boone that she was under arrest prior to reading her those Miranda warnings?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to relevance.
Approach.
This attorney is co-counsel for Mr. Owens. I'm not sure of his name. If anybody knows his name, you can put it in the chat. She should have never, ever, ever, ever gone without a lawyer. That's on her. She's supposed to be so smart. She read her Miranda warnings before they started interviewing her. She knew it specifically says anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. Do you still wish to talk to us? And she said yes, and she talked. She talked for 2 hours. We listened to it. At the beginning, was she supposed to say, you're under arrest? No, because it was based on these conversations that they had with her that led to her arrest, I believe, at the end. She said she was going to arrest her anyway, based on the videos, but who knows? Sarah could have said, I left him in the suitcase. I came down the next morning, he was laying on the floor. So he must have gotten out of the suitcase and I don't know what happened. He drank a lot. Maybe he had some other condition, and it was found on autopsy that he had a 75% occlusion in whatever artery it is that is called the widowmaker. So I don't know. That's on her. Yeah, cops are allowed to lie. That's why you should never trust them. But we are very pro back the blue here. And there are very excellent police officers, including some of my moderators who are now retired, But there are also not great cops, just like there are not great lawyers, not great doctors, not great priests. Exactly, Carol. She doesn't have to tip her cards to Sarah. Good grief. Sarah already knew. Yeah, somebody said here, where is this question? I saved some questions. I have questions. So how do you forget about that video? It's so awful. It seems like that would just be burned into your brain. You mean Sarah forgetting it? She was hammered. I bet you she had no recollection of taking that video whatsoever. She may not have even rewatched it, because I can pretty much guarantee you that if she did remember taking that video, she would not have handed over her phone voluntarily. Because, that would have, she's smart enough to know that that would sink her. Femme Dandy, happy belated birthday. Was your birthday last Thursday? Happy belated birthday.
The objection is sustained.
Deborah Coons, are you Jerry Garcia's wife? Because Jerry Garcia was married to a woman named Deborah Coons, exactly same spelling. I've been wondering that since I saw your comments yesterday. It says this judge is awesome.
Ma'am, and we were able to see the video of the interview. As a process of interviewing people such as Ms. Boone, well, let me specifically. In the process of interviewing Ms. Boone, is law enforcement free to give information that might not be accurate or true during the interview process?
Are you asking if we're allowed to lie to her?
Yes.
Yes, to an extent.
Was that done at any time in this interview?
Did I lie to her? I don't recall lying to her, no.
May I confer, Judge?
Yes, sir.
I mean, look, they really have nothing to work with, so I'm not going to disparage their lawyering. They just have nothing. They're trying to make something out of something based on what they know. Sarah has probably written out her testimony on 17 legal pads.
A redirect examination.
No, Your Honor.
Can this witness be released? State.
We have her subject to recall.
Okay.
Subject to recall.
All right, ma'am, you're released subject to recall. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Oh, goodbye, Detective Goddess. We'll miss you.
State any other witnesses, evidence, or testimony to be produced.
All right, this time the state would rest.
Okay. Members of the
State
jury,
rests.
it is 10:22 a.m. I have some matters with counsel that I need to address. So we're going to excuse you for a short while. It's a great opportunity for us to take our morning break as well. Similar instruction that I've given to you over the last couple of days. Please do not discuss this case amongst yourselves or anyone else. Do not conduct any independent research or investigation as to the person, places, things, or charge involved in this case. We'll bring you back in as promptly as possible. Thank you.
So professional. He's so measured. He's very respectful. Oh, look at the law student daddy has a vest on today. He's wearing a three-piece suit.
We do have some motions, but my client needs a comfort break.
A comfort break.
Because it may be fairly lengthy.
Agreed.
We do that because it may be fairly lengthy.
Agreed. Let's go ahead and take that break. Court's going to be in recess for 10 minutes, and then we'll pick up any motion practice at that point in time. Court's going to be off the record. Thank you.
All right, so we have 10 minutes to chit-chat, my friends. 10 minutes to chit-chat before they come back to make their motion. And Sarah's break needs to be a little extensive. Oh, she's sweet. She's smiling. Look at this. She looks very happy. Apparently yesterday she was reprimanded and told not to turn around and speak to her. She has some female attorneys. She's smiling for cameras. I don't think anybody has their camera out. What is she so happy about? Is she delusional? Is she having a psychotic break? Does she think that something is going well for her here? Wow. All right. Let's get her out to the ladies. Does she think she's a celebrity? I So confused. I need to know your thoughts, concerns, comments, your snark. We should just call this chat the snark tank, unless somebody else is already using that. It's kind of a creepy smile. Don't worry. Be happy. I mean, that deputy or court officer, whoever was escorting her to the bathroom, had a look on her face like, "Oh my goodness, what? I don't want this job." Yeah, maybe Little Cupcake. She probably thinks they just proved how the police tricked her. Maybe that's it. She has fans.
Hey there, everybody. Thank you so
right?
much for watching our Sarah Boone trial coverage. Now, guess what? This isn't Sarah Boone's first time interacting with the court system. In fact,
All right, we don't need to listen to Jesse Weber because you guys can listen to me instead. Melissa Ann says that her and Tella should share a cell together, 2 peas in a pod. Wow. Patty B, yes, I do use the Dyson, but it's the Dyson Airwrap, not to be confused with the Dyson hair dryer. The Dyson Airwrap has like a bunch of different what do you call them? Like heads. It's got like 2 regular brushes, a round brush, and 2 like curling wands that are like one is one is like, a thinner barrel, one is but it wraps your hair with air, and it is life-changing. It's on my Amazon list that's below. It's very expensive, but since I have so many girls in my house, we share it, and really it is life-changing. Like once you have a Dyson Airwrap, you can't go back to any regular hair dryer. Thank you, Mo, for your super sticker. I appreciate you. Carly wanted to know, why do you think a mistrial would be declared before the trial begins, but after the jury has been selected? I don't know which case you're talking about, which, if any. But once the jury is sworn, double jeopardy attaches. So there could be any number of reasons that a mistrial could be granted before a trial starts. Brady violation or something, a conflict, something, there could be a reason, but that's why, because once the jury's sworn in, that is when double jeopardy attaches for the defendant. So mistrial can be called at any point. Thank you for asking. Not sure what you're referring to. Thank you. Yes, we do. Another great way to support the channel if you don't, people always come in the chat like, I really want to be a member. I can't afford it. It's not necessary. It's not required. A great way to support the channel. My Amazon link is in the show notes. Shop through my Amazon link. You don't have to buy anything that I recommend on Amazon. Just shop through my link. It helps the channel. If you're going to shop at Amazon anyway, great way to support. Thank you, Sandra Beatles fan. Can she change her mind and accept the plea now, or is it too late once the trial starts? It depends. It's case specific. Every case is different, whether or not they leave the plea bargain on the table, whether they offer a better one, whether they pull it. It's between the attorneys. So we don't know. We don't know if she's allowed to. She should have, but she didn't. What had happened was she just didn't. Thank you very much, Denise, for your Venmo. It says, thank you for giving us all so much of yourself every day. You're wonderful. Oh, it's my pleasure to be here with you. What else would I be? I'd be sitting here watching this myself anyway. So you know what? I'd rather be here watching it with you, with all 2,154 of you. Court is on break right now, so we're not missing a thing. Yeah, DB. Sarah thinks she's about to bamboozle all of us. She really does. She really, 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 really does. You think that's why she was smiling, Kim? They must have given her a compliment on her hair and her hairstyle and her attire. Yes. Yes, Cop 3000. She's seriously unwell, but in the most obnoxious way possible. I mean, I don't know. I'm waiting to see what this body cam footage shows of the prior arrests or the prior calls that they made to her townhouse, where she apparently a couple times reported George for DV, and he may have reported her once or twice as well. Because again, she's going to try and use the battered spouse defense. And if she can get up on the stand and convince people that she was a victim and somehow, some way, something happened before he went in the suitcase that led her to believe that she was in fear for her life, I don't know. Is she going to tell a whole different story? This is going to be wild. It's going to be wild. Boho Chic, it is her time in the sun, isn't it? Oh, thanks, Suzanne. The Grit Grizzlies are snarky pants, but I've not heard anybody say snark tank. Yeah, my chat is the snark tank. Then we'll take it. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. You are hereby dubbed the Snark Tank because you guys are the funniest people on the internet. And those who know. And it's like, it's an acquired taste, the humor that we have here. It's definitely an acquired taste. Hello, Elaine. Good morning. Good morning. She's fixing to testify, Elaine. She is. The state has just rested. So who's going to introduce the body cam of the DV arrests? It was the state's motion. That was a motion in Lemonade that we saw this morning. Maybe in rebuttal, they're going to use them because they have rested. So she is fixing to testify. She was fixing to take a very long comfort break. So the court took a 10-minute break. Maybe she was going in there to fix her grease pencil, eyeliner. I don't know. Going to somehow get some rouge, pinching her cheeks. That's what my grandmother used to say. You don't need to wear rouge. Just pinch your cheeks. Thanks, Elaine, for the 10. You didn't miss so much this morning. Just a Detective Goddess was back on the stand. Why didn't they call Mr. Big? Are they going to call Mr. Big in rebuttal? Is the defense going to call Mr. Big? Huh. Team Brittany, as long as we can work the Shining twins into Sarah's story, everything will be fine. Now I'm leaving for real. Okay, Team Brittany, I have twins. And I took a picture of my twins once when they were little. They weren't, I mean, they were walking, so they weren't that little. Two of them in like matching velvet dresses from behind, like in front of like wallpaper in like a hotel. And it's like it is like The Shining. It was crazy. It's the best picture ever. So funny. I wonder if her attorneys watch Robert Tellis's narrative testimony. Oh yeah, kind of like prepping for the game, like kind of like how you would watch video of like the other football team that you're about to play and study it, see what works, see what doesn't, see what the plays are going to be. Dewey's, if it's the body cam footage I've seen, it doesn't help her. It just shows two people being horrible to each other. Yeah, maybe they're going to use it in rebuttal if she tries to say that he was the perp all the time and that she was in fear for her life. Oh, Emma's son got married on Friday. Congratulations, mother of the bride, mother of the groom. What do you do? I don't know where you live, but do you do the mother-son dance at weddings? And if you did, tell us what your song was that you danced to with your son. I'm curious to know that because I love music and I think in song lyrics. So I will look for that comment if you want to put it in the chat. The barbed one says, I love how she's doing the narrative so she can say how smart she is an unlimited number of times instead of being hamstrung by her legal team. Let's count. I don't have a fancy counter like some other creators do, but let's count how many times she repeats certain words or phrases 3 times. And we have a Dr. Pepper emoji. I make special emojis as a perk for my members for each trial that we cover. And we have a Dr. Pepper emoji here. And some other emojis from other trials that may also be, there's the Dr. Pepper, may also be, useful here. We have a rubber duck. So we use the word duck instead of the F word. So we say, what the duck? What the duck? How can the jury forget that suitcase video? It is a nightmare. She's going to try and explain it. Kool-Aid brush, Kool-Aid blush, and grease pencil eyeliner. Something is so funny. Auntie Bev. She does believe her live. Is there something funny, Miss Boone? Is there something funny, Miss Boone? Did you have a Yiddish Nana? No, she's not. She wasn't Yiddish. But I do know. I use a lot of Yiddish just because I'm from New York. Now, do Yiddish Nana say that too? Pinch your cheeks? She also used to call it rouge, right? And she called a suitcase a valise. Where's my valise? She would say. Her and all of her friends worked at Seagram's back in the day. If you know, you know. We serve cupcakes here in the Snark Tank. We do. We absolutely do. Oh, the Pop-Tart emoji. We need to get one. I was going to do that last night and then I got sidetracked. But I did put mice. Did you notice I put mice in the thumbnail? So we've got that. Oh, Sunflower Day had a son at Mother Dance this past May from Ontario. Our song was Mother Like Mine from the band Perry. It was amazing. Congratulations, Mama. Congratulations. My son just got engaged in Ireland, so that's very exciting. We're going to have to pick a song, but I made him a deadhead. He's my firstborn. And he went with me when Jerry Garcia died. he went with me to candlelight vigil when he was just like a little kid. Hi, Emma. He got married at the Brooklyn Municipal Building, and we did a lunch on Sunday at a beautiful restaurant on the Lower West Side. Unconventional, but it was lovely. Oh, that's so nice. Congratulations. Great question, Haley Jane. Can the state make objections while Sarah tells her latest story? I mean, it's usually questions that are objectionable. So I think if she does start to go off on a tangent of something that may not be in evidence or that may be objectionable, but again, she's going to be the one speaking. If she says something like, this person told me, there could be a hearsay objection, we're going to have to see. I would say it's a possibility, yes. Unintentional, that's definitely a word that she will use, says Courtney. Claire says, good thing it's not a drinking game. We'd all be dead. Very, very funny. Canton police have just had a flood of emergency calls for ducks. I believe Rubber Ducky Gate. I believe that Richard, the perpetrator of the rubber ducks, is going to be in court tomorrow. And if it is going to be streaming live, I would like to do it. We'll have to see what time it's going to be. We'll have to see if it conflicts with this. We'll have to see if this case ends today. I mean, who knows? Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Verklempt, right? I'm verklempt. I'm verklempt too. Simple Man, that is a great song. I don't know if Emma told us the song because I didn't see it. I have to go back a little bit. Danny B says her smile is disturbing. She's so delusional. She doesn't even seem nervous to testify. Like DB said, she thinks she's about to get on the stand and bamboozle everybody. Refusing the plea deal was ignorant. Can you imagine her lawyer must be like, Samra, I just got you the best deal ever. The best deal ever. It's a one-time special. Today only available for the next 60 minutes before the phone lines close. You are being offered 15 years, Sarah, 15 years plus credit for time served. You've already been here for almost 5 years. So, I mean, yeah. So, and in Florida, you probably have to serve like 2/3 of your sentence, maybe, or 80%, 85%. So, Sarah, you're really only going to be here for like another 5 to 7 years. If you can, behave properly based on good behavior. So, Sarah, I really think you should take this deal because you're looking at, life, I think. Is she looking at life? I don't know. I would love to know what the jury is thinking. If they've been laughing at all during the testimony, if they've been shaking their heads, if they've been writing down notes, if they've been crying. Yeah, we should have made a Sarah testimony bingo card. That's funny. Who had a tongue clicking habit? I don't know. Oh, you're a mom of twins also, Cammie? I bet you we have a lot of moms of twins in here. If you have twins, just write twins in the chat or hashtag twins. My oldest is 29. My twins are 26. Time flies. I know. It does. That's what they say. They say the days are long, but the years are short. To all the new moms because you know how it is when you have little kids. I mean, at one time I had 3 kids under 3. It's a lot. Jerry Gray, jury coming back with popcorn. This is, which is at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Link to Zoom in the spreadsheet is sent you. Just click the link. Awesome. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Are people going to be supporting outside? It's Stoughton, right? Interesting to see if people show up to support this man in Canton who has been charged with multiple witness intimidation felonies. Are they felonies or misdemeanors? For placing little rubber duckies around town that had little stickers on the bottom that said, some of them said Colin did it, and some of them said IYK. And they had a 36-page police report on this. It's insane. They did more of an investigation for these rubber ducks than they did for the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Chrissy Mel has twins. Yeah, the jury's coming back with popcorn. 13 Flags has twins. That's 1, 2. Nicole has twins. 3. Something So Funny, Auntie Bev, that's 4. Plus the original poster, plus, wow, that's crazy. Never underestimate or overestimate a jury, remember, Karen Reed, Beach Nance says. I'm a twin, does that count? Of course it counts. Fairly well. Fairly well. I don't know what Jason said first, but we have a large, rather large deadhead population in this chat. And I'm wondering if Deborah Coons is the Deborah Coons that was married to Jerry Garcia, because that was, I mean, it's not a common name, I don't think. Going to Dave Matthews in November at Mohegan Sun. Maybe I'll see you there. Maybe I'll see you there. Awesome, Quamley. Did you watch the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction? It was great. Julia Roberts introduced him. I didn't realize they were such good friends. You got married yesterday, Sarah? And you were watching the stream while you were doing your makeup before you got married? Wow, congratulations, Sarah. That is amazing. Many years of love and happiness. Never go to bed angry. That's my best advice that I can give you. Oh, that's amazing. Everyone congratulate Sarah on her nuptials yesterday. Are you on a honeymoon right now, or are you gonna go another time? Oh, I'm so happy. That makes me so happy. This is now the Sarah Tellis trial. Yes, it is. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. Oh, I would be good at Name That Tune, Margaret. I would. Remember that show? I can name that tune in 3 notes. We could duck out and duck back in tomorrow. That's what I'm saying, Aurora. I'm thinking we got to cover it. I'm thinking we got to cover that.
We're back on the record, 2020 CF 2603, State of Florida versus Sarah Boone. Appearances for the state.
Yeah, sure, on behalf of the state, William J. for the state.
Defense.
James Owens for Miss Boone. Tony Henderson.
Tony Henderson for Sarah Boone.
Do we have any motions?
We need to go on.
You may proceed.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
at this time, the defense would move for a judgment acquittal. I'm going to start with just a real quick couple of comments, Your Honor. We know that JOA motions have become essentially pro forma, which may be why I've been assigned this responsibility today. But in this instance, I want to make an argument that I think has some merit. I've been paying close attention to the testimony in this case, and I want to point a couple things out. First of all, we know that the court has essentially assumed the role and is assigned the role of becoming a gatekeeper in this matter. We know from the testimony that's been presented in this matter that not only did law enforcement, but also the Office of the State Attorney had knowledge of these parties prior to the event having occurred. And despite that, the state has proceeded with this prosecution based upon criminal information as opposed to having taken it to the grand jury. That kind of places the court in a special position to evaluate the nature of the evidence that's been presented. I want to focus on the second-degree murder allegation. And one thing that occurred to me while watching the evidence as it was presented, watching the videos, particularly the interrogation, was part of the dialogue between Ms. Boone as well as Detective Scott Lowen at the end of the interrogation. And I'm going to paraphrase. I apologize. I should have written this down verbatim. I did not. But she's advised that she is being placed under arrest. And her response is, "Why are you doing this?" The detective's response to Ms. Boone is, "Because George is dead."
I'm sorry.
Because George is dead. That's not enough. It's not enough to support a second-degree murder, prosecution, conviction, or should it even be enough to allow this matter to go to the jury? Now, there are 3 elements of the second-degree murder information. The first is that the victim is dead, that Mr. Torres is dead. We stipulated to his identity. There has been no argument to the fact or the idea that he died in this incident. However, the state also has to show that it was caused by a criminal act and that the act was imminently dangerous and demonstrated a depraved mind. Now, the fact that it was imminently dangerous, I think, is belied by the fact that Jorge Torres voluntarily entered the suitcase, albeit under the influence of alcohol. But the perception of dangerousness that's attributable to the victim, apparently he did not perceive it to be a dangerous or imminently dangerous situation.
But she did, because when she was being questioned and interrogated, they said, you know, would you ever put, you know, your son in a suitcase? She's like, no way, I would never do that. She said that many, many times. And that goes to her knowledge of knowing that it was dangerous. Hopefully the state's going to bring that up in their response to this.
And having entered the suitcase, possibly because of the influence of alcohol on his capacity to make decisions, should necessarily be attributed to the defendant as well. But I also want to focus on the depravity issue, which the state must prove, and pursuant to the jury instruction in this matter, depravity is is made the equivalent of ill will, hatred, spite, or evil intent. And that's not enough. Not only does the state have to show depravity, but it has to show, because it's in the conjunctive, that the act demonstrates an indifference to human life. The state has presented testimony and argument in this matter, not argument, but testimony that in fact George Torres was suffering. Suffering does not equal hatred. It does not equal ill will. And even if they were to establish—
Judge is like looking over at his AOL email. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I know you got to do this, so I'm just going to let you keep talking, but you know, till you start walking.
negligence, that's not homicidal.
We know heart.
That
she showed a depraved heart.
Suffering is something that the courts have been very, very cognizant of and very sensitive to. We know it from the field of capital punishment and incarceration. The idea that somebody suffers is not in and of itself homicidal, nor should it support the idea that there was indifference to the life of George Torres by Sarah Boone. Was she angry? I think there's clear evidence that she was angry. But that's not hatred. And that's the element that has to be proven here. And I don't think that there is a prima facie case that in fact she demonstrated hatred so much as she demonstrated anger. Doesn't establish a prima facie case of second-degree murder. It's for those reasons, Your Honor, that I think that this matter should be, the motion for JOA as to second-degree murder should be granted, and this matter should be allowed to proceed solely on a manslaughter charge, because in fact they have not established prima facie elements as required by law. Thank you, Your Honor.
Depraved heart. She showed that in her video when she mocked him.
Standard at this time is just a prima facie case, whether any trier of fact in taking all the facts in the light most favorable to the state and the inferences drawn from them establish the elements of the crime. There are three elements to this crime. George Torres is dead has been established by a prima facie case. The death was caused by the criminal act of Sarah Boone that has been established. There was an unlawful killing of George Torres by an act imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. An act is imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind if it is an act or series of acts that a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily injury to another. It's not Ms. Boone's subjective statements on February 25th. I had no idea you could die from being zipped into a suitcase for 13, 15 minutes before she goes to bed. 2, is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent.
I mean, we heard her on the video.
We heard what she said. The 2-minute video starting at 11:12 p.m. 45 seconds would be linked in Merriam-Webster's digital dictionary for the definition of depraved mind. Fuck you.
Oh no.
I don't
Duck.
care.
Say duck.
Laughing is of such a nature that the act itself indicates an indifference to human life. Sarah, that's my name. Don't wear it out. Judge.
Miss Jessica has a great comment. Everyone put your votes in for what Sarah's walk-up music to the stand should be, because she might be testifying next. Ready to go.
There's no question that a prima facie case has been laid. In addition to the 2-minute video and then the 22-second video 11 minutes later, we also have the defendant's inconsistent statements that she has made in regards to these events. And therefore, we have that factual issue for the jury to decide. She made statements on the 911 call and to law enforcement, both on the 24th and 25th, that I have no idea what happened. I just went to sleep. Everything was good. And then when confronted with her video on the 25th, we see that there are two distinctly different sets of statements that were made. So this is sufficient at this stage in time for a jury question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additional argument, Mr. Beck?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both for your arguments. The court, in viewing the light most favorable to the state, the court finds that the state has presented competent but rebuttal evidence to establish each of the elements of the charge contained in the information to the required level of a prima facie showing. As such, the defense's motion for a judgment of acquittal is denied. Defense, do you intend on putting on a case?
Yes.
Ms. Boone, I have a couple of questions to go over with you.
Judge, if I may.
Yes, sir.
In a normal criminal trial, my position has always been to put on the defendant last.
Oh, he wants to put her on last?
Put on the photographs, and then the client would be the last person to testify. Because of the nature of this charge and our defense, self-defense and battered spouse,
Allow it.
we understand that we have to put on her first, Sarah first, for the court to then consider whether or not we established enough evidence for self-defense instruction. So she's going to have to be going first as the witness. I'm going to need a few moments with her based on everything that's going on and based on that denial of that motion for judgment of acquittal. To just go through it again, because I know you're going to ask to colloquy about all that. So I'm going to need a few moments with, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe for the 4 lawyers to meet with her. I don't know if we can do it here or maybe back there, but just a short meeting.
Sure, I'll give you that opportunity. But before you do that, ma'am, I don't want to go into any specifics of any conversations that you've had with any of your attorneys in this case. Mr. Owens has identified for the court his normal practice of calling a defendant last in a criminal case. In this case, he has advised that he wants to call you first. Without going into any discussions of any strategy that you've had with your attorneys, do you understand the strategy that Mr. Owens and your team will be utilizing in your defense?
Yes.
And are you in agreement with that strategy?
Yes.
All right. Counselor, you can have that opportunity to speak to her. The court will remain here. I don't know if they can, Officer Jones, can we let them back to have that conversation? Okay. All right. You can go back and have that conversation. The court will remain here. We'll be in a short recess for approximately 10 minutes. Thank you.
Are we a little bit behind? Let's see. Chain her up. Bring her out. All right. So the court gave her the colloquy, the old spiel about, you understand, you understand you don't have to testify, but you want to testify. Yes, yes, yes. You're happy with your lawyers. Yes, 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 yes. So they're going to have an opportunity to talk to her for a few minutes before she testifies. He said, ordinarily, I'd put my client on last, but I understand that I need to put her on first because she has to testify before we're allowed to introduce any evidence as to battered spouse defense. Okay. Shiny Happy People. You think that should be her song? Shiny Happy People. Unintentional by Marley Blue. I don't know that one. 2300 in the chat. Listen, this is no Emily Baker channel. She's got She's got over 21,000 people watching. This is we have 10%, which is cool. More than 10%. So we're doing pretty well, you guys, and we're funny. We're funny here. Evil Woman. I thought of Evil Woman too. I thought Witchy Woman was good. These boots are made for walking. It wasn't me, the Shaggy song that seems to be apropos in so many cases that we watch. I want bourbon. I want Jack. I want fear. How about blame it on the alcohol? Wait, is that the talking not the Talking Heads, the Bare Naked Ladies song that I'm thinking of, or is their song just called Alcohol? All right, I got to look that up now on the Spotify. Keep putting your votes in the chat, and then maybe we'll do a poll. What did I say? Alcohol. Bare Naked Ladies are a great band. Am I any Canadians? Yeah, it's Alcohol by Bare Naked Ladies. Let me see how it goes. Alcohol, my permanent accessory. Alcohol, a party time necessity. Alcohol, alternative to feeling like yourself. Oh, alcohol, I still drink to your health. I love you more than I did the week before I discovered alcohol. That might be a good one. The barbed one. I'm going to need a few minutes to confer with my client. She'll also probably fire me. She's a maniac. Yeah, that's a good one. Maniac. Thriller. We can only have 4 choices in the poll because they don't allow me to put any more than 4. Evil Woman was an ELO song. That's right. Thank you. Evil Woman. Oh, here we go. It's a man's world. The man's world. Oh, here she goes. Boy, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. Man-eater. That's it, right? Is that man-eater? All right. Well, butter my Pop-Tart. This is Jenna. Witchy Woman. Put some votes in so we can just narrow it down to 4. The theme song for Jaws. The bitter end. Get your popcorn. Everyone go make some popcorn. We have probably like 8 more minutes left on the break. Get your popcorn, get your Diet Coke, get your iced coffee. I mean, you could get some more iced coffee. Cell block tangle, right. He had it coming. That was when I did an Instagram story on this. Cell block tango. He had it coming. If you'd have been there, if you'd have seen it, how could you tell me that I was wrong? Oh my goodness. Love how we're getting the opportunity to see a textbook trial. Crazy Train. Oh man, we have so many good choices here. Is that Ozzy? Because Ozzy was just inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so we might want to give a little nod to Ozzy. Back up your troubles and get happy. Talk amongst yourselves. She shook me all night long. Sarah, do you want what was behind the curtain or what's in the box? Let's make a deal. White Blue-Eyed Dragon by Sarah Boone. Devil Woman. Is there a song, Devil Woman? Who sings Devil Woman? Leaving on a Jet Plane. Remember that one. Yeah, this is crazy. 8 more minutes, Margaritaville. Thanks, Boho Chic, for loving this group here. We are called the Snark. The chat is called the Snark Tank. And they do rock. They do. Another one bites the dust. Oh, man. Oh, man. Criminal by Fiona Apple. That's a good one. Help by the Beatles. My Way. Would I lie to you? Eurythmics. Glama Sue's coming in with the deets on the sitch. Rich's arraignment is tomorrow at 9 a.m. The case that was to be heard Friday, another duck, has been moved to November 1st with the other duck. There's 2 duck cases? What? What? No, I don't think they really thought they would get the murder 2 charge thrown out, but it's done in every case. They always make a motion for a directed verdict or a JNOV or a judgment of acquittal. They could have done the 10-minute meeting during the prior break. Yeah, but they were working on something else during the break. It's okay. It's all right. We're here. We're having fun. No big whoop. One bites the dust. It wasn't me. Crazy train. Bat out of hell. That's good, Steve. That's a good one. Oh, you guys are gonna make me the next Emily D. Baker. Well, we could be, she and I could go to Dave Matthews concerts together. That'd be fun. Jen Shaw Hater says, let's leave Fiona Apple out of this. Crazy Beyond by Buck Cherry. Liar, Henry Rollins. That's a really great song. That's on the playlist for the Karen retrial. I'm a liar. That's a good one. I'm the greatest by Ringo Starr. Living on a Prayer, Auntie Phoebe. That's a good one. Red Wine, except they were drinking Chardonnay. Otherwise, Rachel, I would agree with you. That's a good one. The Bare Naked Lady song is just called Alcohol. Yeah, I just pulled it up. I love you more than I did the week before I discovered alcohol. Yeah, we're doing really well. There's lots of channels streaming this. So look, we're at 2,246 people, some of whom may still need to hit the like button because it helps. Share the stream out. Let people know we're having fun over here if they want to come. Yeah, my thing says 1,100 likes. So yeah, we're less than 50% likes, which is not the greatest. So while we're waiting, it would be so cool if you would close out your chat and hit the button and then come right back because we're just wasting time. Wasting time. Chat at 2,000 is so much more enjoyable than 21,000 because look, you don't have to pay and you get all of your comments up there. Look at Curious Wendy. Let me have the best chat. We do have the best chat. One moment in time. Last resort. Alcohol. Bare Naked Ladies. Buck Cherry. Crazy Biatch. They're coming to take me away. Ha ha. Insane in the Membrane. Crazy Train. All right, I think is Blame It on the Alcohol a different song? Who's I have my Spotify up. I can just look myself. But I love when you guys help me. Blame It on the Alcohol. I don't know. There's a song called Blame It and Blame It on the Rain. You'll love the lights go down. How about Blame It on the Woodbridge? Cigarettes and Alcohol by Oasis. Killer Queen by Queen. Bare Naked Lady, love the Bare Naked Ladies. Barracuda. Welcome to the Jungle. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. Man in the Box. Man in the Box. Who sings that? Man in the Box. Alice in Chains. Look at you, Scott, pulling out some Alice in Chains. Evil Woman. Devil Woman. Witchy Woman. I love it. I have the sound up, but it's not back up yet. Whiskey in the Jar. The Jerry Garcia band used to play Whiskey in the Jar. Nope, she did not fire her attorney. She can't now. I mean, she could, but I don't know. Is Will here? I didn't see him. Mind of a Lunatic by the Ghetto Boys. Yeah, and at least you can follow the chat because it's not super crazy fast. Quality better than quantity. Right on. Carly's like, I selfishly want this community to stay small. But you like it anyway. Thank you. Blame is the name of the song. There's a lot of, I don't know who sings it. Don't Blame Me is a Taylor Swift song. And the lyrics are, don't blame me. Love made me crazy. If it doesn't, you ain't doing it right. Lord save me. My drug is my baby. I'll be used for the rest of my life. Sarah has been waiting for this moment since her arrest. Yep. Drunken Love. Beyonce. What? Anyone else hear that Tyler Perry was arrested by the FBI, or is that fake news? I did not hear that. There's a lot of fake news out there. Like there was some news that was going around that Marcy was on the Brady list or something. That's just some website that anybody can put information on. I don't think that's even an official website. Sarah by Jefferson Starship. Isn't there also a Steely Dan song named Sarah too? Sarah Smiles. Sarah Smiles. Fleetwood Mac has a song named Sarah. Wait, let me listen to that. I can't play the music or they'll strike me. No, wait a minute, baby. Stay with me. Yeah, no, that's too. No, it's too nice for Sarah. Devil Woman, Evil Woman. Man in the Box, Alice in Chains, yeah. Yakety yak, don't talk back. Is Jamie Foxx blaming on the alcohol? Don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the booze. It's a rap song. Woman in Chains, Tears for Fears. There's too many good choices. I'm the man in the box. Your time is going to come. That's always a good one. That was in the Karen Reid playlist too, I believe. Man in the Box definitely gets mine. This is the song that never ends. Just goes on and on, my friends. Jamie Foxx, Blame the Alcohol. Black Magic Woman, Jailhouse Rock. Wow, we've got a lot of good choices, but we have to get it down to 4. Psycho Killer. Sympathy for the Devil. Alice in Chains is always acceptable. Scott says it's one of the Alice in Chains is one of the few bands that he wishes he would have seen. It wasn't me, Shaggy. We use that one a lot on all of our trials. I think I thanked you, Lori. Yeah, that was early this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you. Glamis Who's Rich is 9 a.m. tomorrow. Link to Zoom in the spreadsheet I sent you. Just click the link. Thank you so much. Yuri's math teacher. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you for gifting 5 memberships. You're always so generous to this channel. Always. Welcome to the 5 new members who were randomly selected by YouTube. You have to be opted in to gifted memberships in order to get one. Courtney, we do not know if he got into suitcase voluntarily or if he was unconscious. Maybe Sarah's going to tell us in her narrative testimony. She's coming up next. She's on deck. On deck. Batter up. Can't wait to hear about it. Thanks for the super chat. Beth gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Beth. Lori Life 360 for the win. Thanks for the 10. Being in this chat's like being with my favorite aunt at Thanksgiving dinner. Talking all the gossip of the year and laugh until my eyes tear up. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. You guys, sometimes I laugh so hard in this chat with you that I cry. It's so funny. Like tears, like happy, funny, laughing tears. Jenna B, thanks for 5. I should have finished that with I'm divorced now. I married the wrong twin. Yes, he was a twin, but love marriage for those in love. Yeah. I don't like to tell people like when I see like, don't do it. Like it's so much easier to get into than it is to get out of. Allegedly LV, last resort. Papa Roach, thank you. A super chat. It's Jamie Foxx playing the alcohol, says Amy in Boston. Thank you, Amy in Boston. You guys are good. You guys are good. Should be coming up next. Bianca Boom Boom Boone. Boom Boom Boone. Gifted a membership. Thank you. Bad reputation. That's always a good one. Breathe, Faith Hill. Phoebe Bird says, the hide and seek is messing with my head. Who, if anyone, plays adult hide and seek and does not think something terrible is going to happen? What child even plays hide and seek and helps the other person hide and then goes to count and says, ready or not, here I come, and then knows where the person is hiding? It's just not the way that hide and go seek is played. That's the problem, right? I mean, that's only part of the problem. Jive talking. Way too pretty for prison. Is that a song? Oh my God. I don't know that it applies to her particularly, but Hey, Sarah, where are you going with that suitcase in your hand? Don't rain on my parade. I need a hero. Lisa is a twin. Monster Mash. How about time warp? Let's do the time warp again. Screaming Daisy says, exactly, Melanie, I've been saying this. Oh, Gwen. Gwen says, my stream has helped her going through a breast cancer diagnosis. Purple hearts for Gwen. Prayers up for Gwen. You got this, girl. You're a warrior. You got this. Cancer's got nothing on you. Gwen, our hearts and thoughts and prayers and good wishes and get well vibes are with you. Purple hearts for Gwen, everyone. A lot of support for Gwen. That's terrible, but I'm glad that we can help you. Glad that we can help you through it. For baby mama, I fought the law and the law won. Yeah, I'm like, this is the best channel on YouTube. I'm telling you right now. Sarah would want, we are the champions because Sarah. Yes, CH, you're right. You're right. Puddle of mud, I ducking hate you. Is that really a song? Oh, is that it's the F word, but we're just saying ducky, fairy ducky. All right. I'm gonna go fill up my iced coffee because I can, because it doesn't look like they're starting anytime soon. I'm just gonna pause this so we don't miss a minute. So everyone else, go fill up your drink. It's only gonna take me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. All right. We're back. Looks like the judge is back.
She is in custody, however, black blazer. And Ms. Boone is seated at counsel's table wearing the same black blazer and dark blue blouse from this morning. She is in custody, however, not wearing any restraints, so she'll be able to stand when our jury enters. And if she is called to testify in this matter, she will be able to walk to the witness stand. Ms. Boone, I have a couple of questions to go over with you. Similarly to our conversations earlier today, I don't want to know about any of the substance of any conversations you've had with your attorneys, just whether or not you've had certain conversations. So far, you've been present throughout the entire trial process. You've been seated at counsel's table. You've had the opportunity to observe the evidence presented by the state, as well as the direct and cross-examination of the state's witnesses. Are you satisfied with your attorney up and until this point?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions again about specific conferences and conversations you have with your attorneys. I don't want to know those specifics, just whether or not those things have been had. Have you had the opportunity to discuss with your attorneys whether or not you would like to testify as a witness in this case?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to discuss that matter with your attorneys?
No.
Have your attorneys discussed with you the potential benefits and potential harms of testifying as a witness in this case?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with the advice from your counsels?
Yes.
Do you understand that attorneys can make most of the decisions about trial strategy? They cannot determine whether or not a defendant testifies or not. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Not even the court can interfere with the defendant's right to make that decision. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that it is your decision and your decision alone?
Yes.
While counsel can give you advice on whether or not it would be wise for you to testify in this case, do you understand that you can ignore counsel's advice because the final decision is yours?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to remain silent?
Yes.
Did you hear me explain to the jury at the beginning of the trial how the right to remain silent is absolute, and the fact that a defendant did not testify cannot be considered as evidence of guilt or influence their verdict in any way?
Yes.
Before a jury begins its
Yes.
deliberations,
Stupid.
the court will read another jury instruction if you decide not to testify. This instruction orders the jury not to consider your silence as evidence of guilt or to consider your decision at all. Would you like me to read that instruction for you at this time?
Yes.
Buckle up,
This
Buttercup.
instruction 3.9a, entitled Defendant Not Testifying. The Constitution requires the state to prove its accusations against the defendant. It is not necessary for the defendant to disprove anything, nor is the defendant required to prove her innocence. It is up to the state to prove the defendant's guilt by evidence. The defendant exercised a fundamental right by choosing not to be a witness in this case. You must not view this as an admission of guilt or be influenced in any way by her decision. No juror should ever be concerned that a defendant did or did not take the witness stand to give testimony in the case. Do you have any questions about this instruction?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand that if you choose to testify, you are waiving your right to remain silent?
Yes.
That means once you begin to answer questions, you have to answer all questions unless I instruct you not to answer a question. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You cannot pick and choose which questions you want to answer and not answer. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you refuse to answer any questions, the court can impose sanctions, such as holding you in contempt, striking your entire testimony, and instructing the jury not to consider any of your testimony? Do you understand that?
Yes.
If you choose to testify, you will also be subject to cross-examination and impeachment. That means the state could ask you about any prior felony convictions or convictions for crimes of dishonesty if you have any such convictions. If you have any such convictions, the questions will be limited to whether you have such convictions and the number of same. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you aware if you have any such convictions?
Yes.
State? Are you aware of any felony convictions or convictions for crimes of dishonesty?
No, I believe she's answering in affirmative. She's aware that she doesn't.
Okay, so you have no such convictions. Okay, thank you for that clarifications, ma'am. As there are no convictions, and that number is not in dispute, the state will not be permitted to inquire into those matters. Have you had enough time to discuss your decision to testify or not testify with your attorneys?
Yes.
Again, do you need any additional time?
No.
Has anyone forced you, threatened you to get you to testify or not testify in this case?
Or lied to you.
Has anyone made any promises to you to get you to testify or not testify in this case?
No.
Are you satisfied with your counsel's advice so far in this case?
Yes.
Are you making this decision freely and voluntarily?
I am.
Did anyone force you, threaten you, or coerce you to testify in this case?
No.
Would you like to testify or not testify as a witness in this case?
Testify.
Okay. And ma'am, similarly, after you've had the opportunity to converse with your lawyers again, I want to confirm that you're on board with the strategy that they've utilized in your defense in this case,
Yes, I understand.
including calling you first.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to remind you, ma'am, that you can change your mind. You just have to let your lawyers know before the jury comes back in. Do you understand?
Yes.
State, anything else we need to address?
Just that the law of the case is that there should be testimony from the defendant of an overt act that particular day before there is testimony about reputation evidence, prior instances of violence, or any of the ancillary things that come in self-defense.
Holland case speaks for itself. Anything further?
I do want to talk about that, but as it relates to her right to remain silent or testify, I have nothing about that.
Okay. Then what do we need to address with regard to Holland?
Well, I've got three issues. One is Holland. The other is I've got these gloves. My client and I would like to take a few moments to look at the suitcase and to look at that. And then the third thing is that the state had filed that motion for the in-camera hearing. I don't know. Maybe we need to hear that before she testifies.
Court's not going to address that at this time.
Okay.
We'll address that later in the proceedings.
So the two things, number one, of course, I've got a lot of photographs about the prior violence that Jorge Torres committed on Sarah Boone, and there's a dispute about whether or not I have to establish an overt act that she responded to, that she considered an imminent threat, and that she took evidence or she took action to either block or physically restrain Jorge Torres from committing an act of violence on her. But Judge, if you'll remember, during the 2-hour interrogation, the officers make mention that they are aware of the prior incidences of violence. So I believe the door has been open, that I can go into that based on those statements by the two detectives. If you remember, they introduced this 2-hour video. She says, he comes at me all the time. I think eventually Sarah Boone realized that they had her phone and they were going to see pictures. They were going to see videotapes of evidence that Jorge Torres committed acts of violence on Sarah Boone. I think at that point she changed her tone about Jorge. She was trying to protect Jorge, but then she realized she would have to disclose some of the acts that had been committed on her by Jorge Torres. And so she did talk about him coming at me, and we've had issues before. And the officers gave, I can't remember exactly what they said, but yeah, we're well aware of, I don't know if they said the prior acts or we're aware of the domestic violence, whatever the case may be. I submit that opens the door. That was during their case in chief. They chose to play that entire video. And so I think I can talk about the prior bad acts before the event in question chronologically. And I've got a bunch of photographs that go into physical evidence of her injuries as a result of Jorge's violence.
Okay. Response, if any.
Judge, we're asking for the court to maintain its ruling. We already read an instruction that the police are allowed to tell her things to try and get reactions from her. She affirmatively denied there was an overt act that night to the police. And the court, in its ruling pre-trial, I've been trying to get some guidance on this, reviewed Ms. Boone's most recent statements on the matter, and there is no overt act thus testified to. So we are hopeful that we will maintain that ruling, and I don't know how it prejudices her or her team in any way to establish an overt act on February 23rd, 2020, before we go into reputation evidence, prior instances of violence, or battered spouse syndrome evidence.
Any other further argument, Mr. Owens? All right. I don't find that the officer's statements are character evidence, and you're looking for specific instances of conduct, which are going to be utilized for those specific purposes for reputation or violence to establish the fear component that the case law speaks about. Florida Supreme Court decision in Holland is clear that that overt act needs to be established before any of that evidence is submitted. I don't find that it's an opening of the door, and I'm going to rely on what the Florida Supreme Court has told us to do.
Judge, I've got to get the clerk to mark some photographs, and then my client and I need to take that suitcase out of that box and inspect it, play with the zipper a little bit, and then also take that bat out of that paper bag and inspect it before she testifies.
Any response?
Yeah, why didn't you do that
I'm
before?
confused why we haven't utilized the nearly half an hour or more that the court has been off the bench to get these photographs marked. The defense team has been on board for quite some time. They did not request a second evidence view of the physical evidence that Ms. Boone already had an opportunity to do while she was pro se. It's 11:25. We need to try the case.
Judge, I think that she had that evidence view, I think, with Billy Lane. I believe that was the day after I filed my notice of appearance, or maybe it was the day I filed my notice of appearance. I don't remember exactly, but it had already been previously scheduled. I was in Milton, so they went ahead and did it that morning, I believe at the jail. I believe the evidence.
Any particular reason why it hasn't been done in the last 45 minutes?
Because
I sent my jury out.
I've been meeting with my client about her rights to testify or not, and other related matters. So in terms of not giving her this evidence?
In terms of anything that the state just discussed?
I've just been busy with my client.
Okay. How much time do you need in order to pre-mark these exhibits and look at the baseball bat and the suitcase, which have been entered into evidence?
I would think 15 minutes.
Dude,
I'm very concerned.
you have a whole
because
team
it
of people
is
there.
11:25.
You have a whole team of people. Any one of those people, any one of those other attorneys could have done this. All right, it's them skipping, not me.
Anyway, let's take an early lunch. We've got witnesses coming this afternoon anyway. If her testimony ends before 5, we've got one or two witnesses that are here. And then I believe tomorrow is Wednesday. We've got Dr. Brannon that's going to be here first thing Wednesday morning. And then I believe Dr. Harper's not going to be here till Thursday morning. So we're going to have a little gap in time unless we've got to put on several officers about prior acts and all that. But I think for purposes of this, Judge, in the abundance of caution, I feel like I need to go over this evidence with my client.
Judge, you don't want an appeal. You know you don't.
She testifies, and I have not had a chance to view that evidence other than seeing it here today. But I think I need to do that with her before she testifies.
Okay, can the parties approach for a moment?
Oh yeah, judge is getting upset. Come on, dude. You have a whole 4 lawyers. She had to be reprimanded yesterday for not turn around and look at the female attorneys, I think, that are sitting behind her. You had a whole team of people that could have been getting these exhibits pre-marked. But come on, man. We are just a couple seconds behind now. Now we're on real time. Got to dot all the I's and cross all the T's because they don't want to leave any room open for an appeal on this. They just don't want to do it. He does. Judge Kranick has the patience of a saint. What the duck? Thumbs up, y'all. Chronic shock. What the duck is right. Agreed. I don't think they should go to it's 11:30. They started late. There's been very little testimony already today. The jury, remember Judge Dewey K. Arthur in Mississippi, boy, he was really concerned about the jury's time. He's like, the jury is only making, what were they making in Mississippi? $15 a day? I will not waste their time for the Carly Gregg trial. Yeah, he almost has to grant it. You mean the time for them to, wait, please. I'm sure she's fully familiar with that suitcase. Yeah, WD-40 for the zipper. Thanks, Aunt BB. I forgot about the WD-40 emoji that we made for the was it Robert Tellis trial? Because the court door was so squeaky that every time somebody went in and out of the courtroom, we had to have the WD-40 emoji to oil that, to grease up that door. There it is, WD-40. Oh, let's see who's there. Let's see if we know anybody there. Didn't somebody say Peter Tragos was going to court one day? I don't see him there. Any lip readers in the chat? I really don't recognize anybody there. Jules is in the front row. Oh, there she is. We just passed Jules. There she is. There's right there. Hi, Jules. She smiled at us. Let's see if there's anybody else. All right. So wait, for those of you who don't know, that's Jules right there in the maroon jacket right here. She's like, hi, looking at the camera. That's great. Joel from Surviving the Survivors, or that's Joel? Is it? This guy, right? This is Joel? He got a haircut. Are you sure? Maybe. He's not looking at the camera. And I thought he wears glasses all the time, too. I don't know. Turn around, Joel. Peter's not there until next week. That is Joel. Interesting. Yeah, that is Joel, huh? Peter's on daddy duty all week, somebody said. Yeah, Jules has a great heart. Love, and something else, something is so funny. Auntie Pep says, love that she has the front row for this show. Peter's on daddy duty all week. Maybe. Or maybe he uses glasses for distance like I do. I use glasses for distance, but I take them off, my glasses off to read. And then if I have contacts in, I have to use readers to read. Such a pain in the ass. Yuri's Matthews says, Melanie, Jury be like, my popcorn is cold now. What? WDAF. There's the girl in the hot pink. Whose daughter? Oh, George's daughter? Maybe. I don't know. Somebody said, I wonder if that's George's daughter in the pink. Peter T said he can't go this week due to a wife out of town and hurricane house issues. Oh, bummer. Is he in the Orlando area? That's where this is, right? Yes, everybody said yes, that's Joel. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. Anybody else that we know? You know who's at Delphi? Allie and Bob Mata. Lauren from Hidden True Crime. Andrea Burkhart filed a motion for the public to be able to look at the evidence in Delphi. Lawyer Lee. No cameras in Delphi. Hit the like button. Thanks, Zimmy Zoom. Elizabeth. I'm sure it's him. His wife confirmed it. The COE, they call her. She's stunning, number one. Number two, I flipped into his show the other day because Dr. Berry was on. And she was hosting, and she did an amazing job. Has she ever hosted before? Or is she always behind the scenes? I know that I was emailing with her when I was on that show. She's really cool. And I was talking to her like backstage, but she didn't come on camera. Do you guys know if she ever comes on camera? Because she's a natural. Camera loves her, and she was great. She was really, really good, really prepared. Peter's in Clearwater. You think we're going to get an answer to Ashley Benefield's? Wait, is this Ashley Benefield's filing regarding audio? You mean regarding the jury issue? Oh, Andrea Burkhart's filing. Oh, okay. I'm conflating all of the cases. She does host a lot on camera. She's so good. She's really, really good. I like her a lot. She does occasionally. Yeah, she's stunning. Terry says, I don't think she's been on camera much. She really did do a good job.
It is 11:35. Councils have matters that they need to address
Councils.
with Madam Clerk for the pre-marking of exhibits, along with the review of the suitcase and bat, which were previously entered into evidence. I'm going to bring based on the agreement of the parties, I'm going to bring our jury panel in at this time, release them for lunch, give them a similar instruction to the instructions they've been provided earlier, and we will commence promptly at 1 o'clock this afternoon. State, any disagreement with the battle plan so far?
Yes, sir.
Same question, Mr. Owens.
No, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and stand by, bring it back in our panel.
Lame. Love that COE said she ignored the pages and notes from Joel and just did her own thing. Please, can you and Andrea do a fun live where you discuss cases and game show stuff? Yeah, that'd be great. Is she a deadhead? With points given for using Grateful Dead lyrics in our discussion. Is Andrea Burkhart a deadhead, CH? I did not know that. I did a great show with Atty from Defense Diaries the other night. A lot of you watched it. It was like a primer on Delphi. She told us about her experience in the courtroom, and it was great. It was really, really great.
Jury entering.
State, do you recognize our jury?
Yes, sir.
Defense, do you recognize our jury?
Yes.
I think you all can be seated. Members of the jury, again, once you're seated and comfortable, if you could raise your hands to confirm that you complied with the court's instructions. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. Matters with counsel took a little bit longer than we anticipated. We're going to take an earlier break today. It's 11:35. We anticipate the defense putting on a case this afternoon, and we don't want to get into it and then have to break a half an hour into it. So we're going to go ahead and take that break at this time. I'm going to give you a similar instruction as I've read to you over the last couple of days. Jurors, you must not conduct any investigation on your own. This includes reading newspapers, watching television, or using a computer, cell phone, the internet, any electronic device, or any other means at all to get information related to this case or the people and places involved in this case. This applies whether you are in the courthouse, at home, or anywhere else. You must not visit places mentioned in the trial or use the internet to look at maps or pictures to see any place discussed during the trial. Jurors, do not watch local news or read local newspapers. Jurors must not have any discussions of any sort with friends, family members, or even your fellow jurors about the case or the people and places involved. So do not let anyone make comments to you or ask questions about the trial. I want to stress again that just as you must not talk about this case face-to-face, you must not talk about this case by using an electronic device. You must not use phones, computers, or other electronic devices to communicate. Do not send or accept any messages related to this case or your jury service. Do not discuss this case or ask for advice by any means at all, including posting information on an internet website, chat room, or blog. With that, members of the jury, I thank you for your time and your service and your attentiveness, and we'll see you at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you.
Jury entering.
Oh, man. See if they have any matters to discuss before we...
Y'all may be seated. Thank you. State and the defense, if you could please review those items and please mark every defense exhibit at this time with Madam Clerk, and I will see you all to commence promptly at 1 p.m. Court's in recess. Thank you.
Lame, lame, lame. COE was an on-camera reporter in Arizona. I don't know what her real name is. Yeah, I don't know why Delphi is so hush-hush and not being televised. Because weren't some of the pretrial, a lot of the pretrial stuff was televised, right? Like in New York, we just don't have cameras in courtrooms. We just don't. That's the way it is here. So that's kind of weird. Yeah, they're online in the middle of the night. I did see Lauren in the middle of the night with like, I was talking to her. I think she responded to me in the middle of the night. It's like, how do you look so beautiful in the middle of the night outside in your sleeping bag with 4 hats on and 3 jackets? So that's crazy. Let's take a look. I found something this morning that was posted by Boston 25 in the Karen Reed case. So if you guys want to watch that with me, they were reporting on them making a motion for Boston 25's records, and it's Ted Daniel reporting. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We'll take a listen to that, and then we'll see if there's any questions, and then we will go on a break until lunch. We'll come back a little bit early, but bummer. Where is that Boston 25 thing? I just watched it this morning. Why is it not coming up in my history? Hang on. Hello? Did they take it down? I think they might have taken it down. That's kind of weird. Just watched it. This talk amongst yourselves for a second. Talk amongst yourselves. No, I got it. I got it. It just had the same thumbnail as the other one. She is? Andrea Burkhart's a deadhead? That's so cool. I had no idea. No idea. Sucks. Very funny. Thank you, Bianca Boom Boom Boom, for gifting a membership. Her attorney is not a public defender. He is working pro bono, which means for free. She put out an ad for a lawyer, and he answered it. You know, looking for fame and fortune. Who wants to be my lawyer? Who wants to do it for free? Let's take a look at this this Karen Reed piece from Boston 25. Ted Daniel reporting on himself because they want the portions of his interview. The state does. The portions of his interview that were not aired to show that perhaps Karen Reed told her father, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, or something such as like that. Take a listen. This just was published this morning. I'm not sure when it aired.
There is a new development in the Karen Reed murder case, and it involves Boston 25. Friday afternoon, the Norfolk DA's office filed a request for the unaired footage of an interview 25 Investigates conducted with Reed's parents and brother. The DA's office says it wants to play the interview at Reed's upcoming retrial. This is the 5-minute and 40-second story 25 Investigates aired in August 2023. Karen Reed's parents, Bill and Janet, and her brother Nathan came to our studio and spoke with cameras rolling. According to the filing, prosecutors want all the footage 25 Investigates shot that day and any notes from the interview. The filing says, statements made by the defendant to William Reed regarding the timing of the damage to her taillight is extremely relevant and material evidence that will be introduced at trial. This section of the interview is mentioned in the filing. During your first discussions with Karen, did she believe she may have hit John?
No. She felt she struck something. She said, Dad, I think I struck something. I said, what do you mean? All right, this was in the hospital. All right, she says, I remember, all right, backing up and hitting something.
Bill Reed also said what his daughter struck was John O'Keefe's SUV. Hours after, prosecutors say she hit O'Keefe outside 34 Fairview Road around 12:30 a.m. on January 29th, 2022.
And that's how that vehicle was damaged.
The filing says Bill Reed's first discussions with his daughter took place by phone at 6:32 that morning, when his daughter was transported from 34 Fairview Road to the Brockton Hospital for a mental health evaluation. Not at the hospital, where they met up in person. In a separate motion, the DA's office is seeking Bill Reed's phone records from the morning of John O'Keefe's death and the month before. A lawyer for Boston 25 says the station has yet to receive any notification about the filing from the DA's office or the court. Neither Karen Reed's lawyers nor Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan immediately responded to messages. For 25 Investigates, I'm Ted Daniel.
So that's interesting. Ted Daniel reporting on his own, yeah, they want our stuff kind of thing, but they have not even been served with a copy of the motion yet. So that's interesting. Yes, it was discussions plural, right? I pointed that out. Let's hope that the defense is going to use that in their opposition papers. In the papers. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thanks to the mods. Let's take a lunch break. I've set up the new stream for 12:55. I may come back a few minutes early, so I'm going to teleport you over there. Do not worry. Never fear. I'm never going to leave you flat. I'm not a flat leaver. I would not leave you flat. We are going to teleport over to the afternoon stream, and I'm pretty sure she's probably going to be on the stand for the entire afternoon. But because her attorney now needs to look at the suitcase with her and the baseball bat, and they need to get their ducks in a row. What the duck? And they need to, as such, pre-mark some exhibits, which they should have been doing because they have an entire team on this. You know, what the duck, man? What the duck? I'm going to teleport you over to the afternoon stream. Travel safely. Safe travels. And I'll see you over there. Go take a lunch break, stretch, hydrate, make your popcorn because we have like an hour before we're going to come back. But I think we all could use a stretch. So go do that. And I'll see you real soon. Travel safely.